My friends have some difficulties controlling their Biju, and an ally informed us that only the ninja of Kumogakure possess the knowledge to accomplish such a feat. Flattering their pride, so we want to know if you would be ready to train them. In exchange, we will of course give you techniques, jutsu, information, expertise. It might effectively be interesting, muttered. However, bro, Killer Bee interrupted him. Please, accept their proposal. The redhead is a cool guy, and the others seem nice. Yeah, Reikage-sama, the Kumo Naruto added, they don't intend to betray us. I sensed it when I looked into them with the chakra mode. They do have negative emotions in some of them, but they aren't directed toward us. I didn't said I'd refuse. I groaned. Let me finish. He stared at the Arashi clan. I need to ponder this proposal before making a decision. I have already too much work. With the current political situation, Sasori memorized the info for later questioning, and as such, I prefer we settle this tomorrow. For the moment, you will stay under the Anbu and B's supervision until I reach a decision. Mabui will show you where you will stay for the night. Of course, Sasori knew it was simply a way of saving face. The Reikage probably still hadn't completely dealt with the whole multiverse reveal, and needed time to cope with it, plan, and think how he could exploit the situation to its fullest, while keeping them at hand. He was probably going to ask someone to bring them where they would sleep, some kind of trapped, watched place. She will also show you where you stay for the time being, a hostel called the Torapu. You will keep a henge in public. Understood. In the meantime, the Anbu would spy on them and give the man detailed information on their psyche, shown techniques, way of thinking, values, everything that could be of use. Once the Reikage would have all cards in his hand, he would confront the Arashi again and make another proposition more favorable to him, and then Sasori would have to exploit it and amend it. It was how negotiations happened in the ninja world, most of the time, when someone was trying to enlist a defector from another country. Now, get out, the Reikage ordered. Darui, stays with me. I have assignments for you. Or rather, I need to talk with you about this mess, Sasori guessed as he left the room. He also distinctly heard Darui groan. Please follow me, ladies and gentlemen, Mabui politely ordered, as she walked out of the Reikage's headquarters. The Arashi clan obeyed, and the three Jinchuriki from Kumo followed them. While Killer Bee had been ordered to do so, the Kumo Naruto declared he simply wanted to get to know his counterparts, while Yugito had decided to watch over them for any sign of danger, though the venomous glare she gave to Kazama clearly indicated she simply wanted a rematch against the blonde. Yo, brother rhymes. Killer Bee shouted happily. Would you enjoy a little game? Which one? Perhaps he could fish out a few info from him. A poetry battle. I would rather like a haiku competition. Cool. He smirked. I thought you didn't love them. The hybrid, Kitsune. In Kitsune's opinion, the Torapu was a nice place where to sleep. It was a big, large hostel painted in red and gold, with a large terrace and a great dining room. It was a palace. Guarded, Samahata whispered in his head. People around and inside it. It was how Kitsune perceived Samahata's feelings. The fish couldn't hold a real conversation with her wielder. Yes, Samahata was apparently a female creature, but she communicated through exchanges of emotions, sensory perceptions, and mental images. She could smell chakra around, and was like having an incredible hunting dog if used like that. Kisame rarely used her as such, preferring to have her suck his reserves continuously in order to train and increase them. Having already enough chakra, Kitsune asked her to help in different ways. He had also been surprised by Samahata's other abilities. She could record chakra signatures, and track them. She could also exchange memories with her wielder, and serve as a spy for him. In fact, it was what she had originally been created for, before Kisame gained her after killing her old wielder, one she had never really liked anyway. When Kitsune had asked her how she had been created, the sword had responded by sending him a disturbing image of giant green turtle devouring huge whales, which she had called Mother. In order to preserve what was left of his sanity, Kitsune had decided not to be more curious after that scene. Are you alright? The Kumo Naruto asked him, interrupting his thoughts. You do not seem to be focused. Oh, he replied. It's nothing, Naruto-san. Call me N, he smirked. It's my codename while on missions. And I completely understand, it's a little paradise here. His smile widened. I couldn't even talk when the Reikage gave me a room in it. You live there? Kitsune asked, his eyebrows raised. Ever since I left Konoha, he said. The best day of my life. I see, Kitsune muttered. How did you convince the Sandame to let you leave? It is complicated, En replied. The subject was obviously sensible. I would rather not talk about it. Sorry, Kitsune muttered. It must be a sad part of your life. Yeah, he smirked. But it's behind me now, so no big deal. He locked eyes with his counterpart. I still can't believe that you are me, not a clone, not a twin, but me. I am not exactly you, Kitsune pointed out. Which is good for you, you wouldn't like having dark and crazy voices urging you to kill people in your head. I am simply what you could have been. So I could have been a girl? He asked, and Kitsune nodded. Man, it feels wrong on so many levels. Don't tell me I could have been a transvestite. Sexy no jutsu. I don't even want to know what you're talking about, Kitsune-kun, he said. Want help to move in? We're in the same dorm, after all. After that, we can do a little training session, don't you think? It's very kind of you, but I'm not that good. Even if he was beginning to improve under Zabuza's tutelage, he was still only barely passable. He could swing his sword, true, but he couldn't do it well. Who cares? En laughed. You should have seen me when I began using Minato and Kushina. Kitsune raised his eyebrows. Our parents. I call my blades like that, En explained with a smile. It's my way of paying them tribute for giving birth to me. He stared at Samahata. What is her name? Samahata, he said, caressing and making her bark happily, much to En's amazement. Oh shit, it's alive. Yep, Kitsune replied. She is a bit timid, but she's really friendly. You can touch her if you want to. En smirked, and caressed the fish's back, making her lick his hand. Good sword. Nice, Samahata thought. Like, she likes you, Kitsune smiled. I always had a gift with animals, En declared. B-sensei's island is full of beasties like big pandas. I hope that Reikage-sama will allow you there, so I can show them to you. He smirked. After I helped you beat the crap out of your demon and bully it into submission. It's very kind of you, Kitsune smiled. He's so nice, so confident, I wish I could be like him. Lies. Kitsune inwardly frowned. What is the problem, Samahata? Lies, Samahata repeated. Mask, hidden, smile on the outside, but not the inside. He's not really what he appears to be. No, the fish replied, as En explained Kitsune a few things about how to treat animals. Inside, there is you. Fear, and guilt. The puppeteer, Chibaku. After having installed himself in his new, individual room, if you could call the little house a bedroom, Chibaku went on to go on with the standard procedure, aka checking every inch of the place to look out for all possible traps, see if they could be neutralized by exploiting the fact that their watchers would be more focused on Sasori himself and the other, more dangerous adults. And then give his boss a coded oral report. He had done that so many times that he could have done that with his eyes shut. Literally. But of course, he preferred to keep his vision. Who knew what could happen? Self-esteem was important, but overestimating yourself was one hell of an idiotic way of getting killed, and the fatal flaw of many great men, Sasori had forced him to repeat again and again as if he was some kind of parrot. After his search, Chibaku mentally made a list of all the potential problems they would face. Explosive seals on all the doors and windows, triggered at distance. Little corridors perfect for ambushes. Holes in the walls for use of jutsu from attacking forces. Hidden guards on the roof, third and first floor. Not sure about the number, but I think around roughly 50. A bigger force on the outside, probably better twice as numerous. No safe way to escape, but dorm kitchen wall is the less harmful and dangerous road. Now, just have to find Sasori and tell him that. He found him on the terrace, and suddenly regretted his action. Ninja in orange. A demon in his stomach. Wants to be leader. Blondie prankster kid. Shapeshifts into busty girls. Demon fox. Really? Killer Bee asked to Sasori. It's even more ridiculous than it sounds, the puppeteer replied. Now, back to business. Ah, sorry man, the Hachibi's vessel excused himself, before writing something on a sheet of paper with a pencil. Kumo nins are cool. Don't care about Naruto. Something is wrong here. Kids were friends, rivals. They became best enemies. Obsession ensued. Believe in yourself. But you have a fox spirit. You cheating bastard. Both Sasori and Killer Bee looked at Chibaku, who shrugged. Sorry, I wanted to say that to Naruto. That wasn't bad for a beginner, Sasori nodded with appreciation. Your disciple is a little genius, yeah, Killer Bee said, while writing Chibaku's haiku. But next time, I think he should try rap. Poetry is almighty, but it's getting old. So, Chibaku trailed off. Who is winning? Redhead-kun, Bee stated. All of the brothers of the rhymes are equal, except before grandmasters like him. But the power of my haiku will one day triumph. Okay, the blonde puppeteer lamely said. It's official now. I don't understand anything of what you say. I did, the Kyuubi muttered ominously. Nothing will be the same anymore now. Oh, Killer Bee shouted. It's my team. He pointed his finger on 3 approaching teens. Get over here and cheer for me. I need your praise to defeat my haiku archenemy. Is he really insane, or simply faking it? Chibaku thought, as he stared at the newcomers. Hopefully, if their serious faces are of any indication, they are at least partially sane. The group was composed of 2 girls and 1 boy, all 1 year or 2 older than Chibaku himself. They were wearing gray-white outfits, Kumo's forehead protectors, and blades. The boy was dark-skinned, had white hair, and black eyes. The first girl was a dark-skinned redhead, with amber eyes and wearing yellow earrings, while the second had a fair skin, short blonde hair, blue eyes, and the second biggest chest he had ever seen, second only to Tsunade. How can she even walk? The puppeteer wondered. She should be in pain with all the backaches. Hello, B-sensei, the redhead saluted him, before staring at Sasori and Chibaku, stiffening. Who are they? New musicians. Black Cloak, the boy muttered as he stared at Sasori with a thoughtful look, before his eyes widened. B-sensei. They must be from some kind of cult trying to brainwash you into their ranks. Chibaku's jaw dropped, while Sasori simply raised an eyebrow. And may I ask why you think that? The puppet master asked. Because you wear a black outfit. The boy continued, the 2 girls rolling their eyes. The colors, code is categorical on that subject, black is evil. Chibaku face-palmed. Guy, you're wearing a gray outfit. Does it means you are half evil? I have more white, he replied. Meaning I'm only a quarter bad. Screw this, the blonde puppeteer sighed. I give up on trying to understand what is going on. A wise decision, the Kyuubi whispered. Omoi, the redhead girl trailed off with exasperation. The choice of clothing doesn't always reflect the morality of the wearer. Yeah, he nodded. You're right, Karui. Sometimes it is used as a trick, meaning he's some kind of super spy trying to pass himself as evil while working for the good GU. It was at this moment that the girl named Karui put her palm on the boy's mouth, much to his surprise. Please excuse him, the blonde girl said with a calm, serene voice. Omoi always sees bad things or incredibly weird things in perfectly normal situations. You mean he's always like that? Chibaku asked, and the girl nodded. Damn, and I thought I had seen everything in this short life of mine. Karui shrugged. I don't know what kind of life you had to be so jaded, but believe me, you have seen nothing. What's your name, by the way? Chibaku, he replied. The redhead next to me is called Shinha. We're just travelers stopping in Kumo for the time being. Nice to meet you, the blonde girl said. I am Samui, and they are my teammates Omoi and Karui. We are B-sensei's students. If only they could love the power of rhymes as I do, the man whined. You're awesome, sensei, Karui said, obviously lying. But, rap is better, I know. He smirked. Here is my new presentation. He jumped and took a fighting pose. I float, like a butterfly, and sting like a bee. 'Cause I'm the 8-tailed beast. Silence. If someone needs me, I will be in my room, Chibaku said as he left the terrace, trying to salvage whatever sanity I've still left. The girl, Naruto. Unlike her friends and counterparts, Naruto had decided to continue her training as soon as she had installed herself. She had asked Mabui for a place to train, who in turn had shown her the Torapu's dojo. Of course, Sasori had already explained them beforehand that they would probably be observed, but Naruto didn't care. She had to improve, and fast. Rasengan, she shouted, as she impacted the sphere on a block of ice. But instead of breaking it, the sphere decomposed itself before it could do jizz. Naruto cursed, as she formed another Rasengan in her palm, trying to maintain the shape with her second hand. Naruto-sensei has explained me how to do it, Naruto thought as she slammed the sphere on the ice, and yet I still haven't mastered it yet. Once again, her attack didn't do any damage. Perhaps you should use a clone, as Kazama-san advised you, Haku whispered. I need to master it in its normal form, Naruto stated, as she created another imperfect sphere. I need to make progress. You are always progressing, Naruto, the Yuki assured, as Naruto failed to break the ice wall once again. You are becoming stronger with each passing day. It still isn't enough, the blonde replied, as a few stray memories rushed through her mind. I'm still too weak. Far too weak. Haku simply frowned sadly. It's about Kishin, isn't it? Yes, she confirmed, creating another Rasengan. Each time I fight someone, I ends up extremely injured and have to wait for someone to rescue me. First time I really fought someone, Naruto Aniki had to save me from Mizuki. The second time, Susanoo beat me up so badly that I stayed in a coma for a short time, and only survived because of Naruto Aniki again. I did better in my rematch with the Uchiha bastard, but even then without Kitsune-kun I would have drowned. And then, there is my fight with Kishin, she growled, as she rammed the Rasengan on the ice again at full force, doing no damage again. The only enemies I ever defeated are logs and muted trees, for crying out loud. She snarled with rage. I can't even defend myself against other ninjas. A short silence followed, before Haku rediscovered the use of her voice. Naruto, I don't know who is this Mizuki, but both Susanoo and Kishin are enemies that could probably count as the equivalents of Biju. You couldn't have done anything to them. But this asshole trio is going to track us down, Naruto whispered. I refuse to stand on the sidelines, or simply wait until someone saves my ass again. She created another Rasengan. I am not worthless. I refuse to be so. She slammed the sphere with all of her might, and this time it didn't decompose. The block of ice exploded in many shards, and Haku gasped. You succeeded. Told you I would, she smirked. Naru-sensei is one hell of a teacher, and I never back down. A very important quality, a new female voice added. Both Naruto and Haku turned to face the newcomer, the woman named Yugito. She was grinning ear to ear. Men tend to think that women can't be strong, and only serve as medics, cheerleaders or prostitutes, assassins, she said. But girls are better than that. Women like Pakura of the Sand, Mei Terumi, Mito Uzumaki and Tsunade Senju earned their fame through power and efforts, and not because of their looks. She then eyed Naruto. As long as you will keep confidence in yourself, and that you find new ways to improve yourself, then you have nothing to fear. Naruto smiled, for a few seconds. But I don't have the power to beat my enemies, she realized, remembering her fights with Susanoo. I still do not have it. I mean, yeah, I have the Kyuubi, but I can't demolish bridges on a whim or use super powerful techniques. Power isn't the only thing that win battles, Yugito replied. And without skill, even power is useless. It doesn't matter if you have an overwhelming firepower if you can't use it well. She smiled. The important thing, girl, is simply to find new ways how to use what you already have. Adapt your techniques to fit a situation, create variations of them, or outright improve them. Naruto raised her eyebrows. Improving my techniques. Yugito nodded. Most jutsu have been created with only one goal in the mind of the creator, while there are many potential applications to them beside this one. For example, a fireball was created to attack, while it could be used as a shield as well or to deflect projectiles. Even something like the tree climbing exercise can be used to attack. Really? Both Naruto and Haku wondered. Yugito nodded. Allow me to show it to you. Haku-san, can you create another of those blocks of yours? Make it as solid as you can. The girl nodded, joined her hands, and shaped a huge block of ice. It should resist to a cannonball, Haku stated. Good, Yugito said, before touching it with her index. A second later, the surface of the structure shattered around it, much to the other kunoichi's amazement. Do you understand what I just did? The Nibi's vessel asked. You made your finger adhere to the ice, the Yuki guessed, but you overcharged your chakra. Exactly, Yugito nodded. It's what happened to the bark of trees when you put too much chakra in your limbs. All materials have different resistances to your chakra, but they all crack under enough pressure, even diamonds, if you put enough chakra on its surface. She smirked. Now, imagine what happens when I use this technique on an enemy's body while fighting. You hurt him a lot, Naruto realized. With such a simple exercise. It's just a matter of innovation, Yugito said. People always copy others, and rarely create new concepts. Geniuses, true geniuses, are the men and women who do not simply mindlessly use old techniques, but either improve them or create stronger variations. Take your Rasengan. Are you sure it can only takes the form of a sphere? Can't you find a way to use it like a shuriken, throwing it at people instead of trying to get close? I don't know, she admitted. I have seen Naruto and Ikki use a bigger variation, but nothing more, though that Feral Gale did use a shuriken version. If it was a bit strange, maybe I can recreate it. Then you will have to find it yourself, Yugito declared. And I'm sure you will be able to do that, once the time will come. Thank you, Yugito-san, Naruko said, bowing slightly, Haku imitating her. It was very kind of you to help us. It was a pleasure, she said. You remind me of myself, when I was your age, and I'm convinced you are destined to do great things, Naruko-san. The broken man, Kakashi. Kakashi was staring at the twilight from the roof of the Torapu, ignoring the camouflaged Anbu that were secretly watching him. He had retired there to meditate in peace, while thinking about what he would do when he saw his students again. If they are still my students, Kakashi thought. Do they still a spark of life inside of them? Or are they just empty shells moved around by the mind of a madman? Is there any hope of saving them? Is there any hope of bringing them back? Or will I have to kill them again? He cursed whatever force or fate that had chosen to have him face such an ordeal. No teacher should be forced to fight his own students, to see them corrupted into inhuman horrors and being forced to decide whether or not killing them was for the greater good. Did the Sandaime think the same thing, when he had finally discovered what Orochimaru was doing and confronted him? Now, I know the pain he must have felt. Trapped in your thoughts, Kakashi? Zabuza asked, as he joined the Junin on the roof. Gazing at the sun is not a smart thing, even if it is going to be night soon. It calms me, the broken man replied. My old team used to watch the twilight, once we finished our missions. It always made me feel at peace. I gave you some advice, I didn't ask you to talk about your past, Zabuza grumbled. Kakashi blinked. Why are you here? The swordsman shrugged. What, it's forbidden to go on roofs these days. I'm doing a little spotting, just in case. Did you find anything interesting? Kakashi asked lazily. Yeah, a man dumb enough to stare at the sun, Zabuza deadpanned. Seriously, how can you be considered as a genius? It never ceased to astonish me. Kakashi stiffened. I didn't choose the title, he said. I got it because I graduated earlier than normal and because I was one of Konoha's best and most obedient dogs. Or, more precisely, Kenta's pride. Some people thought that by calling me a genius, people would start to imitate me. And they did. Zabuza snorted, while Kakashi shook his head. And what about your original jutsu? The Chidori. Just a lame adaptation of the third Raikage's ultimate technique in an attempt to approach completing Sensei's technique from a different angle by focusing on the element first, Kakashi explained. I saw him once during the war, when he fought Sarutobi-sama at the Battle of Aguni. As I observed it, I wondered if it could be possible for normal people to use it. After that I tried to adapt it, and I ended up creating the Chidori, and then the Reikiri. He snorted. They're just pale imitations. Zabuza sneered. You seem to be on a depressed mood, aren't you? Everybody know you're not exceptional, but nobody denies that you're good. If I was really good, half of the crap in this life of mine wouldn't have happened, Kakashi said. If I had been good, my students wouldn't have been reduced to the state of animated cadavers. Zabuza had nothing to reply to that. Well, verbally, that was. Instead, he simply punched Kakashi on the face, making the Junin flinch and his nose bleed. The Junin simply eyed his ally with anger. Why did you do that? Because you make me sick, Zabuza declared emotionlessly. I heard you talk to the blonde brat, you know. I thought you had stopped wallowing the past, but no, you're still the same wimp as before. I have changed, Kakashi stated. Then stop beating yourself over your mistakes. Zabuza snarled. You have a hellish childhood. Fine, I know what it feels, and it hurts. You have lost people you loved. I can understand that you miss them. But thinking about what could have happened if I had been better. It's only useful when you learn from your mistakes and act to avoid repeating history. But the past is the past, and it can't be changed. What happened, happened, nothing can change it. The important is to focus on the future, not the past. I don't know how many times someone will have to say it to you, Kakashi, but telling yourself all the time that you suck is completely idiotic. Kakashi almost retorted, but kept his mouth shut at the last moment. You can get up, you can continue your road, and shape your own way. Stop letting others dictate how you should live, and create your own future. The swordsman locked eyes with the Junin, his gaze full of determination. Kill the man you were, Kakashi, and be reborn. Kill the son of the White Fang. Kill Konoha's genius. Kill the Yondaime's student. Kill Team 7's teacher. Become Kakashi, and no one else. Then, he took a kunai in his hand. The past has to be buried, Kakashi. If it refuses to stay in its grave, the only option is to beat it into submission. When your students will confront you, you will only have two choices. He pointed the kunai at Kakashi. Letting the past kill you, or finally end it forever. This choice will be yours, and yours alone. The Raikage, Are you sure this is all? I asked. Mabui nodded. Yes, it is all I have to report. I see, he said. Then, you're dismissed. I will stay here tonight. Take a meal, a drink, whatever you want, I'm feeling generous. Thank you, Raikage-sama. She bowed, before leaving, closing the doors behind her. For a short time, I stayed alone in his office, while the night had just fallen on his village. Darui and C had left for the front lines, as it had become obvious Kakashi's death had only renewed Danzo's determination to win the war. Sometimes, I really regretted having started it. It would have spared him a lot of paperwork. The Raikage's eyes snapped open. What do you want? He asked to the man behind him, while beginning to read his troops' reports over his shoulder. My, have I interrupted something important? The voice of the newcomer asked casually. I thought you didn't enjoy paperwork, Raikage Dono. That is why you hired Mabui, besides her special technique, and maybe her looks of course. I have no time for these stupidities, I snapped, enraged by the man's lack of respect. I repeat, what do you want? Answers, he replied. What do you intend to do with our visitors? Immediately understanding who the man was talking, I snorted. Why does it concern you? Haven't you guessed why? The man asked. I noticed he was standing before the office's window, looking through it at the Torapu. And I thought you were the smartest Kage of this decade, which was why I helped you make the good decisions with this little war of yours. He was right. Without the man's precious advices, the Hyuga incident would have probably led to nowhere, and his predictions tipped the course of the war in Kumo's favor. The man had been a great ally, but at the same time, I found him disgusting. He was simply a worm trying to survive at all costs, even if he had to do atrocious things to realize his goals, and his current illness didn't help his anger management problems. So, honestly, what are you planning to do with them? Let them run around and send them to the front lines? He asked. You already sent Darui and C away. Probably, I said. You have something else in mind. Oh yes, he smiled cruelly. Give them to me. Capture them and imprison them in the vault. Why should I do that? The Raikage asked. He had actually thought of it beforehand, the very second he had seen these fools having taken Yugito hostage. Nobody menaced one of his soldiers and lived to tell the tale about it. Yet, Naruto's words had confused him. The blonde's special sense had never been wrong before, so he had decided to keep his calm. In spite of his fiery temper, he hadn't been chosen as Raikage for nothing. He knew how to seize a good opportunity, hence why he had started the war to expand Kumo's power. Once these travelers had explained who they were and what they could offer, I had pondered about his options. A deal with them might give him the firepower Kumogakure needed to take over the rest of the continent, and finally getting rid of Iwagakure, their untrustworthy ally, but they were unreliable. They were foreigners. Simply imprisoning them for studies might actually turn out to be better, as he wouldn't give them anything in return for their help, or depend on them. So he had decided to keep both options at hand. He had accepted the deal, but also prepared to stab them in the back if he ever changed his mind. His visitors would not have any hostage anymore. They would be in a secluded area, in the center of Kumo, with all his soldiers ready to intervene, but more importantly, they would be careless. If a fight broke out, he would have the upper hand, without taking any stupid risk. I had the feeling his advisor would try to convince him to replace the if by a when. They can prove themselves to be useful. They will, but not as soldiers, the man corrected the other smoothly. I can extract their Kyuubi and contain them so we can use them as weapons later, or simply create new, loyal Jinchuriki. It will be safer than relying on these unknown variables, and we both know that these vermin are going to leave as soon as their problems will be corrected. That, and they might even be able to cure my ailment. A frowned at that. I thought even studying Naruto didn't help you at all. Perhaps his doubles will make the difference, he shrugged. I'm running out of time, Raikage Dono, and I need these people to continue living. You remember what I did for you, right? Now, it is your time to do something for me. A frowned, before shrugging too. All right, you won. I will order the Kinkaku force to capture them tonight. Good, Raikage Dono, the man whispered, his snake-like golden eyes shining in the dark. I knew I was right to support you. The deceiver, Tsukiyomi. The second Madara touched the ground, he knew something was wrong. The trio and Susanoo's possessed bodies had teleported in the center of a large, massive city, with big buildings and a lot of people around. The sky was clear, and humans were looking at them with shock and incomprehension. They didn't have any chakra, so they were simply civilians. Where the hell are we? Amaterasu wondered out loud, as a high-pitched sound resonated in the air. Look at the ground, Susanoo replied, as the civilians were beginning to flee. Tsukiyomi obeyed, and saw a message sculpted onto the soil. Hello people. Welcome to Hiroshima. It's going to be a real firework, so enjoy the last 20 seconds of your life. Cordially yours, Ghost. Have a nice day. It was this moment that he heard a deep noise. Lifting his head, Madara just had the time to blink as he saw something exploding in the air, unleashing a flash of light and a fiery wave of heat. The trio didn't have the time to teleport. They only saw a son being born. And the next second, they were standing on the terrace of a dark castle. Well, not really a castle. The construction looked like an assembled mass of different buildings, a chaotic architecture that shouldn't even be able to stand. Horizontal towers, twisted bridges, chained islands, it was as if something alien had tried to imitate reality, only succeeding in showing how much it didn't understand the laws of physics. Where are we? Madara muttered, as he stared around him. The construction was floating in a dark void, with stars providing the light. You are in the territory of oblivion, a familiar male voice responded, and Madara felt his blood freeze in his veins. Between the worlds, there is only void and darkness. The three Uchiha stared at the ghost in front of them. Dark, short hair, a pale skin, a perfect face, and two red eyes staring at them. The specter was wearing a black, ethereal armor, with the Uchiha crest on it, and was wielding a long red sword. While it seemed human, the ghost didn't appear to emit any heat, and the eternal Mangekyo could see that it simply wasn't a human. The edges of the body were too perfect, too precise, as if it was a portrait even better than the original model. It simply wasn't his brother Izuna. Welcome, travelers, the illusion whispered. Who are you, disgusting faker? Susanoo hissed, obviously angered by the fact that someone was using his brother's shape. Or, rather, what the hell are you? I am nothing but a projection of your memories, the ghost replied with an emotionless voice. I was sent to you by the primal darkness to make you comfortable. You do not seem to be at ease with this form. I can change it if you want to. Then do it, Amaterasu menaced, or I will annihilate you. Very well, the ghost whispered, as its traits changed. It predicted you would be more receptive to the appearance of a loved one, it stated, its voice becoming more female-like. Is this one better? The illusion had now taken the form of Yumi, Madara's deceased wife. The kunoichi was as beautiful as ever, with her long black hair, perfect skin and curves, and was wearing a black kimono. Tsukiyomi had been astonished when he had seen her reflection in Makoto Uchiha, his descendant, and had even wondered if she hadn't reincarnated herself to lead the Uchiha clan anew on the path of weakness and the obedience of the will of fire, but in the end, Madara had won. He had purged the remnants of his clan from this disgusting way of thinking, and wiped out Yumi's teachings from all memories. And yet, even as bitter as he was, he couldn't help but regret her loss. He hated her like he hated the Senju, his children, Konoha, and so many people, but he still cherished the memory of the woman he had loved. He still loved the woman he had married, the kunoichi he had alongside with, the lady that had comforted him after Izuna's death. He only hated the woman that had abandoned him, that had forsaken him, and that had opposed him. It seemed childish to dissociate people like that, but Madara was a conflicted character with conflicted views. He knew there was only one Yumi, that the woman he loved was the same woman he hated, but he couldn't help but try to separate them. It is acceptable, Tsukiyomi whispered. How did we end up there? The Lord of Stars is older than creation itself, the illusion replied ominously. It knows all the laws ruling the different worlds, and knows how to exploit them. Your misadventure simply created the necessary conditions it needed to bring you there. In its realm, the ghost rotated. Please follow me inside. Your savior awaits your presence in the throne room. Is it supposed to be symbolic? Tsukiyomi mused, while his counterparts snickered. The Dark Ruler thought it would be more appropriate, the false Yumi explained. The Dark Force is power incarnated, and humans tend to associate it with thrones and kings. She entered the castle, followed by the Uchiha trio and Susanoo's other bodies. They had already guessed their savior's identity, and were certainly interested in knowing what it wanted to talk about. But they all knew that whatever Amatsu Mikabashi was planning would not be a good thing. Author's notes. Finally done. Sorry for Chapter 16. Imprisoned. Chibaku opened his eyes. He could feel intense pain in all of his limbs, and he had the worst headache ever. His vision was blurred, but he could still distinguish the colors of his bedroom's brown walls. He touched the blanket with his fingers. Or rather, realized it wasn't there. He was feeling sick, sweating, panting, and really unhappy. His mouth was dry, his brain was going to explode soon, and he was feeling like someone that had just been almost beaten to death. Struggling to remain awake, Chibaku regained his sight, as his eyes acclimated themselves to the light coming from the window. And then, he noticed the bars. His eyes widening, the boy rose from his bed, and observed the room. The walls and ceiling were light brown, and a large gate of steel, the one at the opposite end of the window, seemed to serve as a closed door, covered with explosive seals. As pale as a ghost, Chibaku tried to do a jutsu, and failed, not feeling any chakra in his limbs. Taking off his shirt, Chibaku noticed a bigger seal around the one sealing the kyubi, one that looked like a lock. A chakra suppressor, adapted to seal the kyubi completely and prevent me from using chakra, only one explanation, he groaned. Crap. Why me? I was the most prepared of all. It can't be possible. He tried to remember how it happened, but his memories were messy. Confused images of fire and multiple colors filled his mind, confirming his suspicion. A mind wipe. That's my luck. Alright, I hope there is a bathroom. There were 2 beds, toilets, 1 shower, and a table. And flat lady. The girl's eyes immediately snapped open, and then noticed Chibaku. I'm going to kill you so much, she muttered, still half asleep on the other bed. It's serious. He shouted. We have been captured. Naruto groaned. Tamor arg. She squealed, as Chibaku pinched her cheek. It's not a henge, he muttered. Which means you're the real Naruto. Of course I'm the real one, jerk. She shouted before slapping the boy, making his face red. What was the name of Wave's brat? Inari. Good, I'm completely sure you're the real one now, he said. The girl ignored him and observed her surroundings, and paled when she noticed the bars. Oh crap, you were right. Yeah, Chibaku muttered. Do you remember what happened? She narrowed her eyelids. I remember showing my Rasengan to you, and then masked men attacked us. Strange, I can't recall what happened next. We have been subjected to a mind wipe, the puppeteer stated, and sighed when the girl frowned at him. It's a genjutsu made to erase recent memories, and a standard procedure when you capture an enemy. He doesn't remember where he is, or details he might have memorized on his way to his cell, like gates, guards, and then they put seals on prisoners, like the chakra suppressor on our belly, he said as he pointed at his own with his finger. Try to use a jutsu, or to contact the kyubi if you do not believe me. She did, and as expected, nothing happened. Well, she did bite her lower lip. Can you put on your shirt now? Chibaku smirked as he obeyed. Well, you certainly have your priorities down. It was to prevent me from having nightmares tonight, she replied acidly. Predictable. Next time, try to be more imaginative, he deadpanned, before approaching the window and looking at it. Damn shortness, why haven't I gotten a growth spurt yet? Can you lift me up? I want to test something. You know where we are. She guessed, taking him on her shoulders. Even without chakra, she's strong as me. Scratch that, she's probably stronger, Chibaku thought, memorizing this information. Might be useful later. If this version of Kumo is close enough to the one of my world, then there is only one place where the Raikage would be willing to imprison Jinchuriki, he muttered, looking through the bars. And onto the clouds. The prison was floating above the earth, and Chibaku could watch the rocky land below. The sun hadn't completely got out of the horizon, but its light had transformed Kumogakure, placed between distant mountains, into a shining jewel. At the windows left and right, Chibaku noticed armored soldiers made of stone standing still on very small balconies. I can confirm it, he whispered. We're in the vault. The vault? Naruko asked as her counterpart descended from her shoulders. Kumo's maximum security prison, and last stronghold, Chibaku stated. It's a tower floating above local mount. Floating. She cut him, astonished. Yeah, floating, Chibaku confirmed, as he began to scan the walls in order to find possibly hidden seals. Nobody knows how it can fly, but it does. The vault was created by the great sage of the Six Paths, the creator of ninjutsu, to keep his sacred equipment until someone worthy of using them showed up. 2 ninjas of Kumogakure, the Gold and Silver brothers, passed the vault's test and gained his 5 great weapons before being imprisoned in it. Why? Naruko asked. Oh, they rebelled and kind of killed both the Nadaime Hokage and Raikage in a failed coup. Of course, their successors were more than a little pissed and briefly banded together to capture them. It's a long story. I knew it. Sound recorders. Anyway, the vault has been turned by the Sandaime Raikage into an inescapable prison, where the most dangerous enemies of Kumo had been kept and sealed, while waiting to be publicly executed, interrogated, or vivisected to find their secrets. Nobody ever escaped from it. Naruko snorted. Well, it just means we will have to try harder than others did. I mean, they gave us a window. I would like to be as optimistic as you are, the puppeteer stated, but I am not. How can I tell her the escape plan without having the guards listening to it? They gave us a window because they're confident we won't even be able to pass through them, and that we won't be able to hang ourselves without blankets. They have taken all of my puppets and all of our weapons. We cannot use chakra, and we cannot contact the Kyuubi. The walls are nearly indestructible. There are probably more than 100 guards. They can detonate our cell whenever they want, and even if we succeed at simply getting out of this cell, unless you can fly, we won't be able to escape from this place. And let's not talk about the fact that maybe we aren't the only ones that are being detained. The girl's eyes widened. Naru-sensei, or Kitsune, Haku-san, maybe even the others, Chibaku continued. We have no way to know whether or not they have been captured or not. So a strange sound coming from the door caught his attention. He saw a little part of it open, and 2 bowls full of a strange, sick-looking mixture were deposed in their cell on a little plat, alongside a gourd of water. Then, the opening closed. Chibaku smirked slightly. My, it must be Naruko's luck. He took the bowls and posed them on the table. Our meal, I assume. And the key to our success. I'm not hungry, Naruko replied, before glaring at Chibaku when he put his index in his bowl. You're eating with your hand. The puppeteer smiled, before using his meal to write something on the table. Naruko frowned, before looking at it. They listen. The female demon vessel blinked. She took her food and used it to write an answer. Can they see us? No, listening is enough. Try to make a normal conversation. Well, there is no spoon, little chest. She gritted her teeth. Bastard, shut your mouth, doll boy. Jerk, my puppets are not dolls. No food or drink, probably drugged. Yes, they are. What do we do then? He began to write his plan, while continuing to fake arguing. Sasori taught me a trick. We'll need your help. No, they are not. Liar. What? When I nod, make sound. Eyesore. He took his shirt away, and bit his fingers, drawing blood. Naruko frowned, but kept insulting him. Look at yourself first, half pint. He put his fingers on the Kyuubi's seal, and locked eyes with Naruko. I may be small, but I certainly do not have to use a jutsu to be attractive. He nodded at her. It was a special technique, bastard. She shouted, making Chibaku cringe as he moved his fingers to draw a triangle of blood, making a little object appear in a puff of smoke. It's a weapon against your kind, you closet pervert. I'm not a pervert, he shouted back, while looking at his new little puppet. It wasn't bigger than a hand, and looked like a brown humanoid, with iron claws and 2 big blue eyes. And then why do you keep photos of Tsunade and other women in your bag? How do you know that? he asked, as pale as a ghost. How the hell did she find out? Even Sasori doesn't know about that. Oh, come on, don't play fool with me. What is it? She wrote on the table. I call it Momo, he replied. She doesn't seem troubled, maybe she simply guessed. Crap, I will have to destroy them once I get my bag back. Sasori will never let me live it down if he finds out. I can control it, without the use of chakra. You have no proof. She frowned. How? Ah yeah, I stole one, just in case. Liar, he snorted. You know what, I've had enough of talking with you. I finish my meal, and I go to sleep. If I put my blood on its seal, it will create a link between my mind and it. I will be able to control its movements, and I will appear to sleep. When I do, place Momo on the window. I will have it spy on the place, and maybe snatch our stuff if possible. Momo has storage seals. With special equipment, I will be able to twist the seals. If there is a huge problem, close my nose with your fingers. I will hide Momo, and then get up. Yeah, whatever, coward, she muttered, as the puppeteer laid on his bed and touched Momo's back. Crazy girl, he replied, as he lost consciousness. The puppet. Still as strange as ever, Chibaku thought, as he began to stand up and walk with his new body. Well, at least Sasori gave it the 5 senses. He stared up at Naruto, who nodded and took him in her arm. She then approached the bars, setting him down, and he gripped the walls around the window. Okay, now let's fly. His back opened, and 2 wings folded out of it. They began to move faster than the eye could follow, and Chibaku began to float. Yes. The puppet flew in the air, trying to fly up, and then noticing a special sound. It's Sasori's signal, Chibaku thought. He's in the building. He can't have been captured, no. It's Procedure 37 feet fake surrender to rescue allies, while having outside help. Of course Sasori knew he would use Momo, even with the mind wipe, and if he hadn't, he would have found another way. Flying toward the signal source, Chibaku found a window next to it. Going through its bars, the puppet entered in a black, shadowy room, a stocking room. On different cabinets, Chibaku noticed his own storage seals, alongside his and Naruto's weapons, and Zabuza's sword. So he's imprisoned too, I don't see the others. Maybe they haven't been captured. And then, he found the source of the signal, a little black box, with a calling seal on it. Opening it, the puppet found inside a little document. A coded letter, and a plan. How the hell has Sasori managed to smuggle that into this place? He must have had help from the staff, or something. Quickly deciphering the letter, Chibaku began to read it. If you are reading this, you're either Momo or the best, luckiest thief ever. In the first case, you have nothing to worry about. In the second, the seal on the box will soon explode, killing you and everyone nearby. If it hasn't, then you're definitively the luckiest human on Earth. We have been separated. The Kinkaku force did its job, like an bastard, Chibaku thought. Naruto, Kazama, Zabuza, and Kitsune have been captured, while you, Chibaku, applied Procedure 37. A good thing Sasori was able to modify the Yondaimi's seal without making it apparent and went along. Here is a plan of the prison, though the hidden passages aren't recorded. Couldn't get more info, I am afraid. However, Factor 3 is in action, aka got help from a mole, so someone in the staff is indeed on our side and a Volume 17 is planned, aka we're going to rescue you. However, Kumo's reaction will probably be a bit extreme. You must gather the rest of the prisoners. Zabuza and Kitsune are in a jail in another floor of the prison, see big crux on the plan. Kazama and the rest of the important equipment have been brought in the warden's quarters. Keep it for last. The warden is the Raikage's closest advisor, and strong enough to be a match for the 5 of you together. Meeting him before being completely prepared would be disastrous. Take the box with you, and disarm the calling seal. Do so and I will become aware you are following the plan. Activate it again 5 minutes before being ready to leave, and we will come. Understood. I have full confidence on your abilities, so do not disappoint me. Yeah, Chibaku thought, mentally elaborating a plan. But I have the feeling it's going to suck. The girl, Naruto. Masquerading as a man was not something that Naruto was enjoying. Especially with all those checkups. Man, she hated checkups. Alright, J.K., give me your identification, one of the 4 guards protecting a large gate of black metal asked. Also, give me the password. Hawk61, J, or rather Chibaku, stated, before giving 2 silver cards to the man. His advanced henge made him appear like a dark-skinned chunin wearing sunglasses. Everything is in order. Now, just excuse me, but I have to pinch you both. He did, but since the blondes, henge didn't fail them, the man simply nodded to himself. No genjutsu. No, another guard replied. Okay, you can pass. Have a nice day, the man stated. You too, Alpha, Chibaku responded, before crossing the gates, Naruto following him. They advanced into a corridor, in silence. The puppeteer had already warned her not to talk, since guards weren't deaf and could always eavesdrop their conversations. All in all, it had taken 2 hours for her to memorize all the checkups and manners of the person she was impersonating. Chibaku had been surprised by her competence. She had simply shrugged. She had already done such a thing in one of her pranks, even going to impersonate the Sandaime Hokage to see how it felt to be a leader for a whole day before being discovered. Of course, the old man had simply laughed and told her to avoid Konohamaru the next time. Damn brat. The vault, despite its extreme security, had one glaring flaw: routine. Nobody had ever succeeded at either entering or escaping the place without the Raikage's accord, meaning that the guards had become less vigilant and more relaxed. The advanced henge was the perfect counter for most checkups, and nobody was really aware of its functioning. Meaning that nobody had developed a way to detect it, yet. Now, the only thing that could get them discovered were the brainwashed, disguised guards they were impersonating. After spying on them with Momo, Chibaku had neutralized the seals on their kyubi, the walls, and the doors. After using sleeping gas on them, Chibaku just had to insert his memory needle in their forehead. This technique, taught to him by Sasori, allowed him to manipulate people's memories. He couldn't make them true spies, but he could make them do slightly complex tasks. Like, use a henge and try to imitate us until we want you to stop. Truly, these techniques were awesome. Why hadn't she learned them yet? After this corridor, they arrived on a staircase, separated from the outside world by a glass. Naruto briefly stopped to admit the beautiful view of the mountain below, before continuing. As much as she wanted to see it, she had friends to save. This time, it's my turn to help people, and not the other way. I'm coming, everyone. After the stairs, they arrived in a new zone of the vault, the one where Zabuza and Kitsune were imprisoned. They arrived in one hall, with 20 guards in it. J.K., one of them said when he saw them. May I ask you something? Well, it depends what, Chibaku replied, eyeing a cube-like structure in the center of the room. It was quite big, yellow, and covered with strange signs. Probably seals, Naruto thought. Is it another cell? We are going to feed her, he stated. Since she can always, well, go nuts, can you stay and help us restrain her if she tries to escape? Well, the disguised boy shrugged. How long will it take? The guard smiled, observing another guard approaching the cube with a bowl. Less than a minute, if she's calm. If not, I have no idea of who they're talking about, Naruto wondered, as 2 other guards delicately prepared to open a hole in the cube, but she doesn't seem to be very sociable. The hole was opened, and then, nothing happened. The guard with the bowl sighed in relief. She's San. A large yellow bestial paw grabbed his head in a flash. Before everyone could even blink, the paw brutally slammed the man's skull on the ground, shattering it in a loud crack. The other 2 immediately closed the hole, cutting the arm in 2. It fell on the ground, and eyes appeared on its surface, glaring at everyone. I see you, an ominous voice got out of the severed paw, that was convulsing on the floor. Kill you, I will kill you all, 2 of the eyes then eyed Naruto, before blinking. You will validate my existence, I will hunt you down, I will consume you. Naruto's answer, like everyone else, was to throw an explosive kunai at the arm. A few explosions later, only burned sand was left. Damn, that was creepy, the girl muttered. Hopefully, it will be the last time, one the guard said, as others were beginning to evacuate the corpse of her companion. The warden will soon extract her biju, killing her in the process. Will serve her well, after all the blood she had shed. Biju. She's a Jinchuriki. Naruto wondered, as she followed Chibaku. Is she, like Kitsune, consumed by her biju? Suddenly, I feel somewhat sad for her. I mean, she probably hasn't chosen to be like that. After one last corridor, the duo finally arrived in the block they were looking for. 2 guards were guarding the cell, and quite surprised to have visit. "Hello, J.K. What are you doing here?" one of them asked. "We need to transfer the prisoners in another block," Chibaku replied. "The warden wants them in his quarters." "I see, not that I do not believe you, but could you give me a paper proving it?" Chibaku nodded, before searching in his pockets. "Just a few seconds, here it is," he gave them a scroll. The guards took it, opened it, and suddenly unleashed a cloud of green smoke. The 2 blondes moved out of the way, putting their hand on their mouth, just as the gas began to fade away. The guards panted a bit, before falling unconscious on the ground. "No danger now," Chibaku stated after a while. "Really, I should do that more." "Yeah," Naruto snorted. "Whatever, you think we can drop the henge?" "We must," the puppeteer responded, as he retook his original form. "Remember, how do you think Zabuza and Kitsune will react if they see hostile guards entering?" "Point taken," she replied, becoming a girl again. "Now, let's just open the door. And neutralize the sound recorders, of course," Chibaku stated, as he put a few sheets of paper around the door, before touching it. It immediately opened. "Hello, EV." A punch sent him fly a meter away. "Hey," Naruto growled at Zabuza. "Why did you do that?" "I wanted to see if it was a henge or not," the swordsman replied, as he got out of his cell. "And since when do we need reasons to hit people?" He stared at Chibaku. "Oh, and thank you." "It's nothing," Chibaku whispered, before getting up, not really wounded. "Good thing I can heal." "Yeah," the swordsman snorted. "How did you escape?" "It's a long story," Naruto replied. "Where is Kitsune-kun?" Zabuza narrowed his eyelids, before staring in the cell without uttering a word. The 2 blondes stared into it. And paled. "Kill N," a large werfox was whispering. "Kill N, kill N." The traveler, Kazama. Kazama was in the darkness. He was lying chained in a corner of a cell, not even feeling his limbs. He tried to move, but didn't succeed. He had been vanquished. He had been taken by surprise, he had been defeated and overwhelmed. But more than anything, he had failed at his duty to protect his siblings. N had simply been too strong. "I apologize for what I must do," the Kumo nin whispered, suddenly becoming clad in golden chakra. "But it is an order. If there was any other way, I would have taken it." While Kazama and Zabuza simply glared at him, trapped between the Torapu and N, Kitsune was obviously quite taken aback, his hand holding Samahata shaking. "Why, I thought we were friends." The teen frowned sadly. "We are, it's nothing personal, Kitsune-kun. But the Raikage ordered your arrest, and I must do my duty." "This is stupid," Zabuza growled. "You're going to obey deal breakers. You're fighting for people that stand so low." "I do not agree with the Raikage on the matter, but it is his decision, and I will obey," N answered. "Why?" Kitsune asked. "I do not understand. The Raikage saved me from Konoha," N smiled sadly. "It's because of him that I experienced true happiness. Kumogakure is my home, my friends, despite its dark policies. I love its inhabitants, and they love me back. That bond, I have to defend it. I am Kumogakure's guardian, and the hand of its people. Please, understand. Only the Raikage wished for such a disaster," Kazama pointed out, still looking at the masked soldiers observing them from the sidelines. "This entire fight pointless. You can stop it here and now. Let us be, and we will leave without causing a mess." En shook his head. "Kumogakure is a body, Kazama-san. The people are its heart, I am its hand, and the Raikage is the voice. His orders are law. And what about your morals?" The World Wandered asked. "If a law is unjust, how can you still defend it?" "Because I have nothing to prove," En smiled sadly. "When you have committed a great crime, can you still keep a moral ground? No, you simply accept your penance and the suffering that comes with it." He straightened up. "It is my last warning. Please, surrender. I don't want to hurt any one of you." Strangely, Zabuza stated, "I really want to beat you. If you think we're going to surrender, you're completely deluded," Kazama added. Kitsune glared, before gritting his teeth. Sorry, but this will not end well." "No," the Kumo nin nodded. "No, it won't." He looked at the masked men surrounding them. "Leave them to me." He smiled. "It's something I have to do myself. Go on to capture the rest of them instead." The men vanished, leaving N alone to fight. Let's finish this in a flash, the Kumo nin said, before vanishing. Before his mind could register what had happened, a punch connected with his mouth, sending him fly in the air. A big hand of chakra then caught him before he could return to his senses. This for Yugi-chan, bastard, and muttered, as he wiped out the ground with his counterpart's body. Let's see what you can do when you do not have surprise at your side. Kazama's response was to try to catch En with his chains. Vanishing in another flash of light, En reappeared in front of him and kicked him with enough force to send him crash on a wall. Too slow. I can barely see him move, Kazama thought, as Zabuza and Kitsune tried to behead En with their blades. The boy vanished again, and then reappeared in front of Zabuza, throwing him in the air with a kick, caught him midway, tossing him to the ground with enough force to shatter it, and then crashed on the man's torso, creating a large crater in the process. Before the dust even settled, En had moved on to punch Kitsune. Getting up, Kazama unleashed the cold wave on the Kumo nin, but the wind barely fazed him. You want to play with wind? Wind release. Golden tornado. He shouted, pointing his index at Kazama. His chakra transformed into a whirlwind which pushed back the cold wave and hit the teen with incredible force. This time, he didn't gather the strength to get up. Kazama-san. Kitsune roared, trying to slash En with Samahata, but failing to even touch him. Sorry, Kitsune-kun, but you're going down, En said, using his flash technique to hit and vanish again and again. 1 minute later, En was standing above an unconscious Kitsune. Samahata squealed, and tried to bite the Kumo nin, who simply kicked it away. I expected something more difficult, En stated with a disappointed tone. I know I'm one of the world's best fighters, well, I assume that I was like you, back when I hadn't tamed the Q. A sword cut his back, making him scream. The sting of insects hurt more than your punches, Zabuza muttered, as En jumped away, regenerating. I will enjoy maiming you. Damn it. En snarled, as he charged to punch Zabuza, who intercepted the blow with his palm, and countered with a headbutt. En swayed slightly from the force of the blow, before being hit in the jaws with a powerful kick that sent him crashing away. You think you're the first Kumo nin I've had to fight? The swordsman asked, using a water technique to keep the Jinchuriki at a distance. You are all speed demons, but once someone has learned your pattern of attack you're all cannon fodder. Crap, a new voice said, attracting everyone's attention. Kazama saw Chibaku and Naruto walking side by side with Killer Bee and Yugito. I owe you 20 Ryu now, Chibaku muttered. Told you my student was a badass. Killer Bee replied. When he's not being an ass. Naru-sensei, Naruto muttered. En, I know they are enemies, but did you have to be that brutal? Yugito asked, eyeing the beaten-up Kitsune. They refused to surrender, the Kumo nin replied, before staring at Zabuza. And he is still fighting. Yugito sighed. All our forces are converging here. Please, do not be an idiot. You know what will happen to your friends if you continue resisting. Zabuza frowned. And grunted. If you try to do anything to them. Nothing will happen, En said. I simply wanted to avoid as much bloodshed as possible. It was for a good cause. Chibaku snorted. Yeah, that's what everyone says to justify despicable actions. En's face turned sad, before becoming emotionless. I meant it. He locked eyes with Yugito. What happened to the 3 others? The ice user managed to vanish in some sort of mirror, the young woman replied, and Zabuza smirked. Kakashi Hatake and that redhead simply killed their way out of the Torapu. Their body count is quite impressive. They left their allies behind. En blinked, just like Kazama, while Yugito simply nodded. No, they wouldn't. It simply isn't like them to do such a thing, he realized. Chibaku approached the teen, helping him get up. Sasori and I have a plan, the puppeteer whispered. Just keep your calm, and wait for rescue. Anything else would end with a disaster. Why had been so weak? How can have so many hours of training been so meaningless? Why couldn't he manage to win ever once? Because En cheated, he thought, feeling cold. He had the Kyuubi, while I couldn't use my power. It's only why I have lost. The next time, I will crush him with the Shinigami's power and erase him from existence itself. If there is a next time, that's it. Light suddenly appeared from somewhere, and Kazama stared at its source. 2 shadowy figures came in his cell. He couldn't see them well, but he could smell an horrible odor. It was like a cadaver. He's awake, my lord, one whispered. I am not blind, Dodai, the other replied with a familiar voice. Kazama tried to recall who it was, and then paled once he did. Him. Here, leave me with him, the man ordered to the one called Dodai. He immediately left, closing the door behind. No, there was only darkness, and two snake-like eyes shining in the dark. The smell of death became stronger and stronger as they approached. Orochimaru, Kazama whispered in disgust. Oh, you guessed the obvious, congratulations are in order, the snake man replied softly. I am truly impressed. How can he be there, in Kumo? Kazama thought, trying to figure it out. He should have been creating Odogaker, though maybe it's something else. Nice sword that you had, Orochimaru stated, as a blade shined in the dark. Kazama recognized the Kusanagi, though if the Kinkaku forces reports are to be believed, you couldn't use it to its full potential, how could you have? You hadn't gained its allegiance. Kazama frowned. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't even research the weapons you acquire. Orochimaru asked, amused. Though, in this one case, your stupidity can be justified. Who is interested in the forgotten stories of lost blades, nowadays? He snorted. Except the gifted. Kazama glared at him. I can't use my chains to strangle him, damn it. Let me give you a much-needed history lesson, the snake said. In ancient times, when humanity was still young, a great serpent terrified the land today known as the Land of Fire. Called Orochi, it devoured a young woman each year. But once the turn of the beautiful Kusanagi Heim came, Orochi met his end in the form of the great god Susanoo, who had become enamored with the woman. The deity fought the dragon and killed it with the sword of Tostuka, sealing its corrupted soul forever in a blissful, drunken illusion. In place of Orochi, was left the source of its power, a blade he had swallowed, one that Susanoo called the Kusanagi, the grass cutter, as it had the power to cut everything in half. He then offered it to one man to pay an old debt, along with 2 treasures. Its wielder then used it to win 100 of duels, but grew too proud, mistaking the blade's power for his own. He was later killed by another when, in his foolishness, he had refused to use the Kusanagi. His opponent then took it with him, only to be later defeated, the sword stolen again, beginning the bloody story of the Kusanagi. Maybe it was Orochi's revenge from beyond the grave, or maybe it had tasted to too much blood, but the sword had come to respect only the strong. To gain its full power, you had to kill its old wielder. It was as simple as that. Of course, I defeated the last man to have used it, obtaining the blade's respect. You on the other hand, didn't. He chuckled. I told you I would not be defeated, Naruto-kun. At this moment, Kazama felt his blood freeze in his veins. No. Oh yes. Orochimaru laughed. I am not my pathetic counterpart, I am the last Sannin, Orochimaru. The undying necromancer, the one that had reached perfection, and the one that had given you your power, child. You should be dead, Kazama muttered, unable to believe his ears. I saw you being vaporized. Oh, any normal person would have been killed by this, the Sannin seemed to have difficulties finding the right word. Torture. Yes, it is the perfect term. Getting your flesh turned to ashes would have killed a normal human, but I am far beyond this stage. I have evolved, Naruto-kun, into something that your simple mind will never be able to comprehend. Despite what you did to me, that day, I survived. I struggled to stay alive, crawling on the ground, completely blind, until some stupid civilian tried to help me. I graced him by taking over his body. It was a disgusting thing, to experience such a weak vessel, but you must understand that I had no choice, it was your fault, Naruto-kun, not mine. If only he could have killed the snake where he was standing, but then, a terrible realization hit to his mind. It's you, you're responsible for all of this. It's because of you that N is like that. Oh, so you do have a brain, Orochimaru chuckled. I have to thank you for giving me such a chance to accomplish all my goals. After all, it's not every day that you have been transported back in time by an angry Jinchuriki, precisely, a few months before the Hyuga incident, as we called it in our world. Now, it's more like the war's declaration. It's incredible, only a few words to the right person, and the disgusting thing that fool of a Hokage called peace crumbled in a matter of weeks. You convinced the Raikage to send Killer Bee with the delegation, Kazama guessed, completely pale. You told him about me. I deprived Konoha of its best weapon, Orochimaru confirmed. The Raikage wanted a war, I just had to push the right buttons to transform intentions into actions, and phantasms of victory into reality. Then, of course, I gave him advices such as how to crush Konoha, this town's weaknesses, who to recruit, and who to crush. Really, it was a funny experience, especially when I got to execute my old teacher and teammates myself. Though they didn't enjoy it, who cares? You are a monster, the blonde whispered in disgust. I will take it as a compliment, Naruto-kun, the snake smugly replied. But this victory was, well, tainted. I had succeeded in destroying Konoha. Even if Danzo is still on the run and fighting, I had gained the power I wanted. I prevented Akatsuki from even forming. I killed my other self, and usurped his troops and work, and yet, you, in your selfishness, managed to make all these successes meaningless. He lowered the Kusanagi, allowing Kazama to have a clear-shot view of his face. It was the visage of a cadaver. The flesh had become black, and was openly rotting. There was no lips to hide the snake's teeth, no ears, and no more eyelids. Orochimaru's hair had turned white, and Kazama could see his veins pulsating. Coming out of the Sanin's usual clothes, smaller white snakes covered the wounded face, hiding the flesh, but neither the glare nor the disturbing smile. Then, the snakes began to mutter, talking with Orochimaru's voice. I am dying, Naruto-kun. I am dying because of you. Kazama struggled to breath, as Orochimaru's right hand seized his by the throat and lifted him above the ground. Looking at the skin, the blonde realized it was as much rotten as his nemesis' face. I am in pain at all times of the day. My bodies are dying, one after the other. He clenched his left fist, and punched Kazama in the nose, breaking it. All of my work was for nothing. Finally, good news, the blonde smiled, and regretted his words the second Orochimaru punched him again. Everything I tried to do only delayed my death. Studying your double was all for naught. Tsunade, Kabuto, and thousands of medics were all helpless, and died for their incompetence. He began to strangle Kazama, making the blonde scoff. But, he muttered, having regained some measure of calm and sanity. You can help me, I will vivisect you to death, study your seal, or take over your body. Maybe the Kyuubi's power will save me, what do you think of that, Naruto-kun? The blonde simply smirked, feeling blood in his mouth. Go to hell. Orochimaru laughed, the snake shifting to reveal his demented face underneath. When I will return, Naruto-kun, I can assure you that you will scream, and that I will be there to listen. He released Kazama, and left, leaving the bleeding teen lying helplessly on the ground. The sand witch, Gaara. She was awake, and she needed blood. She needed the blood of her jailers. The blood of her father. The blood of her siblings. The blood of the innocent and the guilty alike. Anyone's blood. You will have it soon, her mother promised her, caressing her daughter with her sand. My dear Gaara. We will escape, and we will kill them all. Everyone we shall meet will nourish our hunger for pain. And the jailers, we will make them suffer. They will never try to touch you ever again. They won't try to put another seal on you again. I will kill them again. And father, we will kill him too. We are strong enough to murder him now. He will pay for what he has done to both of us. And especially for trying to deny your existence, my dear Gaara. And the two blondes? She asked, remembering the disguised girl and boy. I feel them. I feel their demons. They are like me. They can validate me. I want them dead, mother. They are like that blonde woman who defeated us, the one with the cat. I hate her. I hate them. I hate this little blonde. She has the cat smell. I want her dead. Then I will kill them for you, my baby, her mother promised. I will offer their blood to you, if it makes you whole. I am tired, mother. Please, can you sing me a lullaby? But of course. Sleep, my Gaara. Daughter of the sand, killer of 1,000. Hundreds will die in our wake, and then you will awake. I will show the one way, so you will chase them all away. Images of the soon-to-be dead blonde girl returned in Gaara's mind. I will kill her. She will validate my existence. The deceiver, Tsukiyomi. They weren't in the castle, but at the top of a mountain. The skies were full of smoke, buildings were burning below, and screams and noises of fighting could be heard from everywhere. Before he could ask himself what had just happened, Tsukiyomi recognized the mountain. Why are we in Konoha? Is this as a memory? He asked Yumi, only to notice she had been replaced by two people. One was the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha, agonizing on the ground, and his summon Enma lying dead at his side. He was wearing his battle armor, but blood was spilling from a large opening in it. He had obviously been stabbed in the back. The other, he knew him all too well. It's beautiful, isn't it? The boy in orange asked with a cheerful smile. Such destruction, I wished I could stay here watching it forever. It was obviously an illusion, like Yumi. Perhaps a memory that Amatsu Mikabashi recorded in some distant world. The dark force was apparently the same in all universes, maybe it had witnessed such a scene through the eyes of history. What do I hear? Uzumaki Naruto repeated, as he approached Sarutobi's lips. Is that a prayer? Who are you calling? There is no god here, old man. He smiled cruelly. Just me. He stared at the destroyed Konoha. I wonder, this place was built on hopes and wishes. It survived 3 long wars, stayed undefeated for a whole century, and had been constructed by multiple generations, all vying to create a monument to peace and prosperity. And yet, his grin widened. And yet, it only took me 1 day to destroy it all. A tear dripped from the Sandame's eye. The Shadaime's dream is dead, old man, just as the hopes of everyone on this little ball of mud we call home, Naruto whispered. Konoha's destruction is the red dawn of a new era of wars, whose story will be written in blood. But do not worry, he locked eyes with the Sandame. It is the beginning of the end, old man. Once this story, my story, will have an end, there won't be any world left. I will scorch the earth to the ground, and reduce all lives to ashes. I will leave nothing behind but a barren, lifeless rock where not even bacteria will be able to survive and thrive. I will make this planet a monument to non-existence. He smirked. But no one but me will be able to witness such splendid spectacle. The 3 Madara were paralyzed by the scene. Is that really Naruto Uzumaki? Tsukiyomi wondered, before finally answering by the negative. There is nothing human left in this flesh. Why? The Sandame muttered. Why? The blonde devil repeated, raising an eyebrow. You want to know my motives? I doubt you will like the answer. He smiled. You want to know why I convinced all your enemies to gang up on this village of yours? You want to know why I slaughtered my team, your grandson, and every human I could get my hands on? Well, it is the same motive that will push me to transform today's victors into tomorrow's enemies, the same reason that will cause me to start a new ninja war, and the same compulsion that will make me unleash the apocalypse. He narrowed his head. So I could prove, once and for all, that words like hope and life were meaningless. I didn't create this spectacle because I wanted to avenge myself, old man. I did because, one morning, I thought, Konoha is the embodiment of will and life. If I can destroy it, it means that these concepts do not matter. He smirked. And in the end, they weren't important. And boy, proving it was 10 times worth the hassle. Behind his mask, Madara paled slightly. Destruction is an end in itself, old man, the boy stated. No words can express the feeling that filled me once I listened to Sakura's cries as she bled on the ground. I felt at peace when I burned the face of your grandson, just to see if he would survive or not. I smiled when I listened to the screams of thousands. This dark happiness, this feeling, it wanted more. I want blood and pain and suffering. His face twisted, reflecting his madness. And this world will give it to me. It will scream and burn and die. Die for me, for nothing, because it has no value. I will crush all hopes and dreams, and drag everyone into the darkness along with me. Because such an action will validate my conclusions. Because when I drag people to my level, I cease to feel alone. He stared at the sky. My life taught me that we humans are nothing. Mere worms living on a small remote ball of mud in some corner of the universe. There is no heaven or hell, we are all going to die, and the world will just watch. This illusion mankind called hope, I will crush it utterly. I will prove that life is meaningless by erasing it from the face of this rock. He locked eyes with the Sandame. And you, he muttered, approaching his hands from the man's head. And you, please, die for me. He then began to push his fingers onto the Hokage's eyes. Die. The disturbing image was immediately replaced by the one of a battlefield. A blond man wearing Hokage's robes was standing in its middle, surrounded by a sea of corpses and blood. In front of him, one sick-looking man lying on the ground. Madara recognized them, the Yondaime Hokage, and Nagato. Well, not quite the Yondaime. You have lost, Nagato, the adult Naruto declared, his eyes as red as blood. A Megakure has fallen. The Akatsuki has been wiped out. You are the only one left. Even then, the crippled man whispered. I refuse to kneel before you, tyrant. The adult Naruto smiled. A tyrant, me. He laughed. You are calling me a tyrant? A worthless false messiah. This is ridiculous. He glared at the redhead. I am the hero right there, and you are the villain. No. Akatsuki's leader spat. Heroes do not kill their rulers and replace them. Heroes do not try to take to enslave the world. Heroes do not oppress and slaughter the innocent. The innocent, Naruto repeated. They are no innocents. There is evil in their heart, in all of them. And it is my duty to purge this corrupted seed from mankind. I must be just in judgment, but merciless in punishment. Nagato gritted his teeth. You are blind. I see very well, thank you, the blonde replied with a serious tone. I am the Hokage of Konoha, and the chosen one announced by the prophecy. I am the savior, and he who is not with me, is against me. Pain desperately rose to his feet, standing difficultly, much to Madara's surprise. No, you are not the chosen one, you are the darkness coming to destroy everything. The Hokage smiled. You are insane. I am justice. He barked. I will bring peace to mankind, even if I must exterminate half of it. I will obliterate evil everywhere. Nagato frowned. How can someone be so blind? His eyes widened. No, I understand. You are pure, too pure. You are unable to understand why there is evil, why there is suffering, and being unable to understand, your response is undiluted, blind destruction, but this purity, while admirable, has driven you insane. I am sane, the Hokage replied. I am blessed. I stayed true to my path since the very beginning of my life. Can't you understand that I am righteous? Nagato shook his head. You are lost, Naruto. I still remember the idealistic child you once were. As a respect for him, I will free you from your misery. You will not stop me, Nagato, the Hokage said, his body becoming clad in golden chakra. You cannot stop the unstoppable. You think your Rinnegan will be enough. Open your sick, worthless eyes. To me, this world's strongest man is no more dangerous than its strongest insect. And now, the scene changed again. Now, there was only darkness. How can you beat me? How can you beat me, you psychopath? A blind Sasuke asked, impaled by a large sword. How? A blonde man with whiskers responded. The Sharingan. More soldiers than I have. Better techniques. Better teachers. All of that is completely meaningless. You could have been my equal, but you have one thing that I lack. And that is what make you weak. He smiled. Friends. Ever since the moment I was born, I could only count on myself, Naruto Uzumaki muttered. He was surrounded by a sea of flames and bones. After murdering my way to the top of this world. After killing so many. I, the selfish survivor, have thrived. Because I am the only one that matters in this empty world of ours. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the man born to reshape the world in my image. If I want you to live, you live, and if I want you to die, you die. Sasuke fell dead on the ground. The darkness and the images vanished. This time, the three Madara were in a throne room, one that obviously wasn't of human origin. The walls were deformed, painted in black, and were riddled with holes throughout them. The throne itself was empty, and looked more like a huge chair than anything else. There was no ceiling, only a large view of the sky. And of one purple sun, looking like a colossal eye. You have come, chosen. Welcome. They were not sentences, as much as a mix of will and thoughts projected inside of Madara's skull. It was as if his mind had interpreted an alien and godlike form of communication into words, giving him a headache in the process. The Uchiha knew that a weak, unworthy spirit would have immediately been crushed and reduced either to madness or to nothing at all, their soul erased from existence altogether. Countless people had lost everything in one brief contact with Amatsu Mikabashi's will. You seem uncomfortable with the contact, son of man. Perhaps another form of communication would be better. A tear of light separated from the star and fell from it, crashing right in front of the three Madara. It illuminated, before taking the form of Uzumaki Naruto. Are you comfortable with this appearance? The false teenager asked with a mechanic voice, his eyes as black as the night. No, Tsukiyomi answered honestly. But I think we will deal with it. Amaterasu shrugged. None of your illusions affect me anymore, August Star. I already confronted you once and lived to tell the tale about it. May I ask why you took the appearance of our enemy's leader? Susanoo asked. I probed your memories in order to search for an individual you could relate with, the entity answered, its tone deep, passionless and emotionless. This human seemed to be more manageable to your mind. Susano snorted. I forgot I was talking to an evil deity. Evil? The entity asked. I am not evil, Uchiha Madara. I am above what humans call morality. And do not be mistaken, I do not seek to harm your species. In fact, it is quite the opposite. I am trying to help it achieve perfection. Your means of helping us are a bit strange, Amaterasu pointed out. Corrupting the Ten Tails and turning it into an engine of pure destruction hell-bent on exterminating us isn't something I consider helpful. Mankind wished for oblivion, thinking that life was meaningless, the entity replied. Ever since the first of your kind achieved sentience, humanity began to question itself. But with unanswered questions, came a void that couldn't be filled, one that reflected my own existence. How could have I ignored the prayers of beings so similar to my own nature? In a way, mankind is a reflection of myself, just as I am a reflection of mankind. Humanity and I are driven by the same desires, Uchiha Madara. We need to remake reality in our own image, and failing that, we destroy what we cannot control. It was right, of course. Amatsu Mikabashi was the deity the closest to mankind. Scratch that, it was mankind's essence made sentient and with a cosmic-scaled vision. It was Izuna who had first informed him of the dark force, though even he didn't know much. His brother had always been fascinated by old myths, destroyed cultures, ancient history. He thought that humanity was doomed to ponder the same questions over and over, repeat the same mistakes endlessly, until mankind could reach perfection and enlightenment. How, Izuna didn't know, but he was convinced other people had perhaps found tracks in the distant past. Ever since man began to think, he asked himself questions, and tried to find answers. But while Izuna gathered many texts about countless gods and stories, there were always holes in them, mysterious reports on shadowy cults, fearful mentions of a malevolent light shining in the blackest night, authors blaming a dark force for the destruction of their countries. But they all mentioned stars, fate, doom, and power. It took years to pierce the secrets of these mysterious holes, and it had required contact with one of the last cults mentioned in the text. Called the Jashinist, they were no more than bloodthirsty monsters, but the Grand Masters of the cult proved to be surprisingly affable and philosophical when the Uchiha brothers contacted them. Immortality had taught them patience, and that rudeness didn't get you anywhere. Only a handful of them had really achieved eternity, and a few of them had been around since the days of the Great Sage of Six Paths. One even pretended to have watched him defeat the Great Darkness, though Madara only understood what he was talking about after reading the translation of the Uchiha's tablet. At first, he had simply assumed he was talking about the cult's god, Jashin, which he was, in a very twisted way. In fact, Jashin was, simply a name given by men to a power they couldn't really understand, and only one name among many. The Great Darkness, the Lord of the Stars, the Dark Force, were all the same deity. Though, in the Grand Master's opinion, you could hardly call it a god. It was more like an immaterial and pervasive force of nature, a sentient, self-aware force, that the sage of the Six Paths called Amatsu Mikabashi, the August Star. At the dawn of time, Madara remembered, the words of the Grand Masters echoing in his mind, there was nothing but emptiness that ruled in perfect control. But for one brief instant, this iron control ended as the chaos of creation put down the ancient order and gave birth to existence, life, death, energy, matter, but the void still existed, in a primal, mindless, and immaterial form, one that wanted to return everything back to zero, so its power could return, allowing to rule once again in eternal darkness. And so was born Amatsu Mikabashi, the dark force, the antithesis of the deities administrating reality, and of creation itself. And then, sentient life came along. The downside of the individuality of the sentient mind was the ability of questioning itself. But most questions can't be answered, and it creates a void that fed the primal emptiness. A void that gave birth to rage, doubt, fear, loneliness, despair, and above all, pain. Why do I exist? Why do others exist? Why do they have what I don't have? Why can't I control what I see? Why don't the skies obey me? Why can't I understand my fellow? Why isn't he like me? Why am I sad? Why am I hurt? Why can't things be right? Why can't I be happy? Why can't all the pain stop? Countless species ask themselves these questions, long before the first man ever came along, and they will remain long after we are gone, if we ever fade away, that is. Now, the Dark Force had observed such creatures since the moment they were born. Can you really imagine it hasn't been changed by the experience? The void fed on thoughts, and as a result, became self-aware. Through the thoughts of life, the primal emptiness began to develop sentience, being able to question itself. The embodiment of the hungry void inside individual's soul, and whose one and only goal was simply to be filled, by making everything a reflection of itself, and failing that, destroying what it cannot control. Amatsu Mikabashi doesn't really want to destroy the universe, young Uchiha. It just wishes to make it like itself, a mechanical, static world, ruled by an eternal order. It is a world where life has become empty, cold, eternal, or rather, a place where there is no life and death, only undying creatures like us. I told you that many sentient creatures have existed before us, like talking animals, but we humans are special. The difference between us and others isn't what questions did we ask to ourselves, no. It isn't if we reacted or not. It is how we reacted to them, by declaring war on reality itself. Unable to answer its own questions, mankind reacted by lashing out at reality, trying to enforce his control over others, life, the world, and what we couldn't conquer, we destroyed, seeding even more pain, despair, hatred and sadness. It was the beginning of the vicious circle of destructive thoughts men called history, one, that is our sincere belief, will continue until either we self-destruct or actually succeed in remaking the universe in our image. Doesn't it sound familiar? As a result of the similarity between itself and mankind, Amatsu Mikabashi took a special interest in them. Most deities did not care about humans, or were simply doing their job to maintain the structure of the universe. A few of them did help humanity, but their interventions were kind of rare. And even then, they weren't completely focused on messing with everyday's life. Really, mankind was cursed. The moment it became aware of mankind's existence, Amatsu Mikabashi began to meddle with its destiny, influencing it in subtle ways. Perhaps after too many failures at trying to remake the world in its image, it began to focus on lesser-scaled plans. Perhaps it was simply trying to occupy its time. Perhaps it was simply in its own nature. It didn't matter. It still acted. Mankind stayed unaware of its existence, until humanity's despair reached its peak. With billions of people begging for their own death and destruction, Amatsu Mikabashi gained the power to answer to their prayers by creating the 10 tails, or rather, twisting the essence of nature itself into the 10 tails. It was strange to think that the Biju were originally just a near-limitless mass of natural energy, the very embodiment of the biosphere, just as the August star was the embodiment of void. Corrupted by the will of Amatsu Mikabashi, it transformed into the demon men called the Jubi, the 10 tails. And then, the sage came along, saving the day, and sealing the demon into himself in order to purge it of the August star's corruption, without much success. He, however, gained knowledge of Amatsu Mikabashi as a result, and taught it to his followers, hoping they would be prepared to defeat it again. Instead, some of them began to worship it. The few people that learned about Amatsu Mikabashi tried to find more, direct, ways to connect with it, for different reasons. Power, the destruction of their enemies, immortality, knowledge, most lost their very existence trying to get what they wanted, and only a very little minority gained what they wanted, sometimes with even more disastrous consequences. Entire civilizations died because of such deals. The Grand Masters were people that, willingly or not, acquired immortality in the bargain. Unable to die, unable to age, unable to change, outliving friends and family, forced to watch and remember endless horrors, madness soon filled their mind. Out of pain, they lashed out at the world, probably just as the dark force had planned. They began to worship it as the god of pain and bloodshed, naming it Jashin, and building a cult around him, hoping the suffering they planned to cause would please Amatsu Mikabashi, and convince it to free them from their misery. But death never came to them, in one form or another, so they resolved to contact the dark force again, completely aware that they would cease to exist. Dozens became 5, 5 became 3, and so on. Madara was away when the last Grand Master ceased to be, preparing himself to kill Kushina Uzumaki, but he was there, hidden in shadows, when the remnants of the cult succeeded in recreating one of the lost rituals. Out of 30 candidates, only Hidan survived a meeting with Amatsu Mikabashi, much to the Uchiha's amazement, until the reason became obvious. Being already clinically insane way before the ritual, Hidan perceived the dark force differently than normal people and reacted to it differently, hence why he survived and gained immortality, and an enhanced, murderous insanity. But before passing away, the Grand Masters offered a chance to the Uchiha brothers, and to them alone, to meet Amatsu Mikabashi and realize their wishes. While Madara admitted he did ponder the proposition, he ultimately refused, confident in his own power and unwilling to put his fate in the hands of a cosmic force that would undeniably screw him over in one way or another. But Izuna accepted. His brother never told Madara what he had asked to Amatsu Mikabashi, and what kind of deal he had made with it, but he came back unchanged, save for one little fact. Izuna had gained the power to see through time. Memories of what happened, and what was going to happen. He managed to engrave the knowledge he had gathered on a stone tablet, and coded them to prevent anyone outside of the clan to learn of its secrets. On it, he detailed the full and complete story of the 10 Tales, of the Sage of the Six Paths, of the rise of ninjutsu, and predictions of the future, both close and distant. Stories of great wars beyond everything seen, of the fall of people with the power of demons, of the end of the ninja era, and of Izuna's own, eventual death. Of course, Izuna left him in the dark about the last part until the end. It was only on his deathbed that he revealed him everything, including what he had asked to the Dark Force. After that, Madara kept his knowledge for himself, and watched helplessly as things went on exactly as his brother predicted, from the Senju's rise, to Yumi's betrayal, to his own exile. It was alone, full of despair and sick with anger that he came to the last Grand Masters, and finally accepted their proposition. With no more followers left to fight at his sides, with all enemies of Konoha having turned their back to him, with nothing but his eyes and weapons, confronting Amatsu Mikabashi had become the one and obvious last solution to his problems. Give me the power to destroy Konoha. He had asked to the void, and it had accepted. Do as you wish. Your will is my own, and my will is your own. Realize our desires. Your existence shall give mankind what it wants. Amatsu Mikabashi granted him many powers. For the first time in his life, he could actually control the Kyuubi. He could alter the fabric of space itself, fashioning a pocket dimension that would be the basis of most of his techniques. He became faster, stronger, deadlier. And yet, he still lost. Hashirama and his wife impaled him and left his body to rot near the valley, returning to Konoha to mend their wounds, unaware that Madara had in fact survived, sort of. A pierced heart was a wound lethal for a human, no matter which kind, and Madara was no exception, especially since he hadn't mastered Izanagi until far later. He did die from his wounds that day. But Amatsu Mikabashi's power prevailed over death itself. Madara's boundless hatred fueled his recovery, and he returned to his senses, weakened, broken, defeated, but still existing, even if it was as a mere mockery of life. True, he didn't need to sleep, eat, and drink anymore, he didn't even breathe anymore. He couldn't even feel pain, only itching. Neither alive, nor dead, just in between. But such parody of eternity had come with a huge price. His flesh had begun to fall apart, and only the Shadaime's stolen cells prevented him from being transformed into an animated skeleton, or merely a ghost. His body could easily adapt to other bloodlines, his counterpart's use of the Rinnegan was proof of that, but it was closer to a plant than a human. His powers had decayed, his abilities had been reduced, and it had taken a long time to recuperate. He was better than the Madara who fought the Shadaime at the Valley of the End, true, but he wasn't half as strong as the man he could have been. Madara knew it was better than being dead, but still. I do not see why your current state bothers you, Uchiha Madara, Amatsu Mikabashi declared. You have achieved a perfect existence, free from life and death, free from time and of all of humans' limitations. Izanami will never obtain your soul, and Izanagi's decrees do not affect you. Many humans would sell their soul to become like you. I feel desynchronized with the world around me, August Star, Madara replied. As I do, Susanoo stated. But it is my fate, and I accept it. I don't see why this is wrong, Amaterasu said. I have never felt more alive than the day I became truly immortal. Don't you see we have become perfect warriors? We have become death incarnate, or in my case, war made flesh. Eternal, insensitive, unstoppable. You have become an existence made existence, living voids, the Dark Force whispered. You are the closest entities in this whole multiverse to me, you are my chosen. Empowered by hatred and desires strong enough to overcome reality, you have ascended to another level. It didn't escape Madara that it said, multiverse. Yes, Uchiha Madara, the being nodded. As you have already guessed, I do exist in every single reality of this multiverse, and I have knowledge of everything that has been, is, and will be in every single mind of every single sentient life in it, just as I have shown it to you. Susanoo blinked. So these illusions were real. Not illusions, but fleeting, ephemeral memories. Of events that have happened, can happen, and will happen. They will forever be immortalized in my existence, eternal, unchanged, Mikabashi explained. Do you understand why I showed them to you? To screw with our minds, perhaps? Tsukiyomi deadpanned. Not at all, the being replied. Why have I shown you the human known as Uzumaki Naruto, specifically? Tsukiyomi frowned, and then blinked. You have understood, Mikabashi whispered. This is a preview of the perfect being I am going to turn the man, who calls himself Kazama Arashi, into, in the near future. The puppet master, Sasori. So you brought my little gift to the stocking room? The redhead asked without any passion. He wasn't completely trusting his new friend, even if she could have already informed the Raikage a long time ago. It was simply in his nature to prepare for everything. Yes, the woman answered confidently. He should have already begun to escape. Good, the puppeteer nodded, before changing subject. Are you sure she will be willing to help us? The woman smiled. I know her. She has doubts too. It has been quite a long time since we suspected that the warden was manipulating the Raikage into going to war. She will have to choose between her loyalty and what is the right thing to do, Sasori pointed out. It is a difficult choice, especially for someone like her. I fully believe she will realize that my actions are for the best, the woman continued. Even if she does not support us, she will not reveal our plan to the Raikage. We have nothing to lose. No plan survives its contact with the enemy, no matter how perfect, Sasori stated, before seeing Kakashi stepping out of the shadows. So, I haven't mastered it completely, but I can at least use this power quite well, just like the Amaterasu, the Junin said. However, I have difficulties with the other technique. I don't know how Madara could alter space, time and perceptions, and as such I cannot replicate his feat. Kakashi chuckled. Despite my nickname, I can't copy all the techniques I see. It was expected. You have always been talented with ninjutsu, but never with illusions, the redhead declared. Still, your new ace in the hole will help us a lot, even more if you can use it in combination with the Reikiri. The result would have made the Sandaime Raikage redden in shame. Kakashi smirked. Still, the old man keeps being the best of the two of us. For now. What about Haku? She has already recovered it, Kakashi replied. We're ready. Sasori nodded. Good. Now, we only have to wait for the signal. He eyed the woman, who shrugged. Give me an hour. Sasori gritted his teeth. He really hated to wait. Omake. Chibi World. The disturbing scene of the Sandaime Hokage's death vanished, and instead, it was replaced by an even more disturbing image. Sasuke Tem. A little Naruto with one big head growled. I will defeat you with the power of friendship. Dobi, a little Uchiha with one big head replied aloofly, nothing can beat the power of my coolness. Sasuke-kun is so cool. A pink-haired girl shrieked, imitated by a lot of other girls. He's the best of all. He's God. A blonde girl added. Go, my brother. A kid looking like Itachi shouted, while dressed like a cheerleader. Wait, what is a cheerleader? Madara asked to himself. Go, Naruto-kun. A little Hyuga cheered the blonde. Yeah, Naruto-kun. A boy in spandex shouted, too dressed like a cheerleader. You're a genius of hard work. Yeah, go, another Hyuga said. It is your fate to win. A redhead kid with a large head simply nodded. You validated my existence. Damn, he's creepy, the pink-haired girl muttered. He sounds a bit obsessed. More than this guy. The male Hyuga asked, looking at a childlike Orochimaru. Yeah, Sasuke-kun. Show me the power of your body. No, the girl agreed. And more than these two. The Hyuga asked, looking at Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke, taste my Chibigan. Naruto, I will pierce you with my big Chibidori. Interplay of love and violence, Gaara nodded. I like that. The three Madara hadn't moved at all. Let's torch it all, Amaterasu proposed. Agreed, Susanoo stated. Yeah, sounds good, Tsukiyomi said. Omake too, Black Naruto. After killing all the whatever that were these creatures, the Madara sighed as the scene changed again. They were now in a shiny town, with huge skyscrapers. What is a skyscraper? Madara wondered. Am I going insane? Good morning. A voice shouted. It belonged to a boy with a black skin. Black skin. He was completely black, something that Madara had never seen, and was wearing an orange jumpsuit. Are you newcomers? Nobody answered. There is something wrong with my face. No, Amaterasu replied. It is just that. The boy frowned. That's because I'm black. What, can't I be black? He snarled. I mean, Kumogakure is full of dark-skinned people, but there are no completely black people. Heck, Konan has blue hair, Sakura has pink hair, and some girl has green hair. There are shark men, plant men, fox men, flying men, pervert men, spandex men, but no black men. There are Senju Naruto, evil Naruto, female Naruto, gay Naruto, but no black Naruto. What is wrong with this manga? He shouted, before leaving. The trio stayed silent a moment. Can someone explain me what just happened? Susano asked. Chapter 17. Jailbreak. I wonder what she wants to talk about, Yugito thought, as she continued walking through Kumo's streets, saluting back the villagers. Maybe it's about the escapees. Or about the Raikage's visit to the vault. The memories of yesterday's night were still fresh in her mind. She remembered well about the capture of some of the Arashi, and the gruesome trail of bodies left by the ones who had managed to get away. Kumogakure was still in an alarmed state, Anbu patrolling and searching for Cloud's enemies in the homes of its citizens, under the orders of Killer B. Meanwhile, the Raikage was preparing to go to the vault alongside N and herself, to interrogate the newest prisoners. Somehow, Yugito was feeling bad about this whole mess. The Arashi weren't Kumo's enemies, and the Raikage's decision had been as surprising as it was treacherous. She knew she couldn't question his orders, but she was still reluctant to follow them. Especially since the Jinchuriki had to betray the trust of a little girl to do it. Why, Yugito-chan? Naruko had asked. What did we do to you? The worst was that she did not have any explanation to give. I must admit that I do not understand either, kitten, the Nibi said. While it was fun to see this Kazama getting beaten by our dear fox boy, they were kind of allies. And I have a feeling things will turn out for the worse because of your boss's choice. She had nothing to say back at that. Finally reaching Mabui's home, a little house in a residential district, Yugito knocked on the door. The dark-skinned woman opened it, smiling at her friend. Hello, Yugi. The Jinchuriki smirked at the nickname. Good afternoon, Mab, she replied. It was usual between them to talk like that. Please, enter, the secretary said. Do you want a drink? Well, if you have milk, Yugito joked, as Mabui closed the door behind her. I would also like a ball to play with. Oh, come on, kitten, we're not cats. We only have their appearance, and I still wonder why. I mean, I'm a living mass of chakra, not an animal. I have nothing of the like, the woman replied, as Yugito sat on a sofa. Would you prefer coffee? Or tea? Do you have Tazan tea? The Jinchuriki asked. Of course, Mabui said, as she left for the kitchen. Just wait a few seconds. Something else. Nothing except the reason why you called me. Your message seemed too formal and important, she declared, as Mabui returned with 2 glasses. Yugito smirked. Let me guess, you just found another boyfriend. Unfortunately not, the secretary replied, sitting and giving her friend her glass. Nobody suits my tastes in this city, unfortunately. All too passionate, she sighed. With my boss, I'm now allergic to impulsive men. It doesn't surprise me, Yugito laughed, before drinking a bit. But what about Darui? And C. Relationships annoy the first greatly, and C is too stuck up, Mabui explained, before smirking. And what about you? I heard that Samui's brother had tried to court you. Yugito rolled her eyes. That guy is the complete opposite of his sister. So much it isn't even funny. Not really my kind of boyfriend. She sighed. Then again, I wonder what kind of person I would like to date. Ellipsis quote. Try to get with someone that does good massages, the Nibi said. I like them. You know, I'm sure you will find someone soon, Mabui assured. Once the war ends, there will be many opportunities. If it ends, Yugito pointed out. Danzo seems determined to kick us out of the land of fire, and the Yondaimike's cage is still alive, gathering troops in foreign lands. We're going to face guerrilla warfare for a long time, even with Iwa's help. And let's not even talk about A's new projects. Mabui nodded. That's just the tip of the iceberg. He plans to invade Omegakure next, with the help of this, Yahiko. Yugito raised her eyebrows. And how are we supposed to find the necessary troops? We already have difficulties maintaining the territory we already possess. Reikage-sama wants to extract the Shukaku from its container, and the 3 Nine-Tails from the Arashi, Mabui replied. Possible containers have already been selected among the army. Reikage-sama thinks 4 new Jinchuriki will allow Kumo to intimidate the continent into submission. Yugito blinked. And how will he manage to hide that from our allies? News of this alone will convince every other country to join force against us, even Iowa. The Kinkaku force is completely and utterly loyal, now that the warden has purged it from Root's influence, Mabui said. Killer B, you and me will not spill the beans either, and the warden is the last person that would do it. Kumogakure is his own, favorite playground. We can never be sure, Yugito pointed out. When the new Jinchuriki will begin training, it will not be long before our enemies put 2 and 2 together and realize we have captured other Biju. We already have 3. 7 of them would make everyone out for our blood. I know, Mabui said. I pointed it out to A-sama, but you know him, he's convinced superior firepower is the solution to all problems. He's wrong, Yugito stated. However, what can we do about it? He's our leader, after all. Mabui shook her head. The warden is the real ruler of Kumo, and both know it. And it is because of his selfish greed that the world is a mess. Well, we won the war and thanks to him, the blonde pointed out. At what cost? The secretary shot back. We have lost so many of our friends because of this pointless conflict, that will be all for naught. The warden destroyed Kumo, Yugi. We may have conquered both Konoha and Sunagakure, but we haven't succeeded in gaining allies there. The daimyos, Danzo and the Cage are all on the run and killing our forces left and right. Our alliance with Iwagakure is shaky at best, and all the other countries either fear or despise us. Mabui frowned. As long as the warden continues to whisper in the Reikage's ear, we will never have any peace. Yugito's eyes widened, understanding what her friend was implying. This is treason. This is our duty, Yugi, Mabui replied firmly. A-sama is completely under his influence, and we both know that the warden doesn't care about our interests in the slightest. Removing him is the only way to make things right again. She sighed. Kumo is tired of 8 years of war, Yugi. It wants peace, and no more bloodshed. He is A's closest ally, the Jinchuriki responded. And even if I was going to help you, which I won't, how can you imagine we'll be able to kill him, while clearing ourselves of suspicion? Mabui smiled. With the help of some allies. Yugito paled, as she sensed 3 familiar souls approaching them. No, you were hiding them. Wow. Well, thinking back about it, it was kind of obvious that they had help from one of us, to hide for so long in this town. I was, Mabui confirmed, as a redhead, Kakashi Hatake and a Hyoten user appeared right behind her. And I have every intention of helping them break their friends out of the vault. How? Yugito asked, shocked. I will teleport them there, with the pot, she explained. Once there, they will kill the warden and leave this world. Will think it is a jailbreak, and then be more open to our advice. If you agree to work with us, Yugito-san, the redhead said, your job will simply be to prevent the Reikage and N from interfering. Distract them or whatever. Yugito frowned. This is insane, why should I do that? For my bro's sake, so he won't commit another mistake, another voice said. Yugito's head tilted to her side. BB-sama? She asked, the man nodding. It's the real one. The soul in the hellish rhyme confirms it. But this is... Yugito-chan, the man interrupted her, completely serious. The snake's venom has corrupted my brother, and he's no more a good doer. I can't take him down, but you can prevent him from ever again seeing dawn. The choice is all yours, Yugi, Mabui said. Yours, and yours alone. We are not offering you the choice between betraying your country and your loyalty. We're offering you the choice to do what is right. The Traveler, Kazama. I can maintain the shape, but I'm not able to implement wind chakra in it, Kazama thought, remembering his training with Kakashi. If I try to do it, it implodes and loses its shape. I can probably succeed with a clone's help, but how can I manage to throw it like this feral Gale did? His technique didn't need a constant influx of elemental chakra, how the hell could he do that? Maybe, I don't know what other energy he used during his fight with Kishin, but it could have stabilized the technique and made it useful at long distance, if only I could use it too. His eyes snapped open, and he smiled, I'm such an idiot. I already have the solution, my chains. If I use them to maintain the shape while I infuse the technique with wind, I will be able to use it at long distances. But what kind of shape would be the best? A shuriken. If I can't throw it, it is useless in terms of aerodynamics. If used in conjunction with the chains, an idea came to his mind. A flail. I keep the sphere between the chains, and I use them to make it hit Orochimaru. Then, the whole thing will explode and unleash the power inside, and then there will be much rejoicing for me. If only I could get out of this cell. He closed his eyes. I don't know what to say, Shinigami. Seal. Kyuubi. Whatever, I need help. I need to go rescue my friends. Please. Please. Nobody answered. Please. A cold feeling invaded his limbs, much to his surprise. Suddenly, he felt like he had been the target of icy water, and he got an headache. He touched his face, trying to stop the pain. He could move. Despite the suffering, Kazama tried to get up, and succeeded, his legs lifting up his body. He touched the cell's wall, sensing it. I feel, a powerful light obstructed his view, and he saw a giant sun swallowing him. When he opened his eyes again, he wasn't in his cell anymore. He was somewhere else. It was a dark, large hall, full of tubes of glass. There were also tables covered with journals, sheets of paper, full of texts. It was stinking death itself, and there was some blood on the ground. Where the hell am I? A laboratory maybe? Kazama wondered, approaching to look at the journals. 11. Naruto-kun's cells are amazing. Incredible speed of splitting. Very good chakra, very potent. With the Kyuubi, it is instant healing. Maybe, if I replicate them, I will be able to cure myself. 15. Failure at skin transplantation. No compatibility. No compatibly. 16. Possible solution to necrosis. If I can't transplant Naruto-kun's flesh on myself, I will transplant myself on Naruto-kun. It's Orochimaru's notes, Kazama guessed. What a. 17. Fool of Arakage refused. Intolerable. 20. Found last solution. Recreating Naruto-kun himself, with his cells. Will be long, don't know if I have enough time. Recreate me. 33. Naruto 2 is on the way. Kazama frowned, and then paled. He looked at the tubes of glass, a chilling hypothesis having infected his thoughts. The second he saw blonde hair through one of them, he knew he had been right. He was looking at another Naruto. Orochimaru had cloned him. It was an adult, sleeping peacefully in a green liquid, his eyes closed. His skin was pale, and he seemed to be happy in his state, if he even had a mind, that is. Orochimaru is going to die for this, Kazama promised, gritting his teeth in rage. I will kill him myself. It was at this moment that he noticed someone's reflect in the glass. Jumping on his left, Kazama barely avoided the Kusanagi's extended blade, which pierced the tube and impaled the cloned Naruto, coloring the liquid red with blood. Quickly, Kazama put himself behind another, empty tube, looking at his attacker. I see that you have managed to escape your cell, Orochimaru hissed. Did you enjoy meeting your twin? Kazama glared at his enemy, while observing him. He was wearing his usual clothing, and wielding two Kusanagi. Of course, it was expected, as he killed his counterpart here, I assume it is En's clone. Yes, Orochimaru confirmed, slowly walking toward Kazama. A complete and utter failure. I wanted to possess this doll, but it wasn't complete, too unstable. Your body will be better. After I kill you first, of course. You are going to murder your only chance of survival. The blonde muttered, preparing a jutsu. Has this necrosis infected his brain too? If I don't kill you first, how can I be sure you still have this little regeneration of yours? Orochimaru asked. Sasuke already killed you twice. And you know the thing, never two without three. You're insane, Kazama shot back. And, you, are, dead, he screamed, his two swords suddenly extending and piercing through the tube. Kazama used the Kawarimi to switch place with a nearby table, which exploded in many shards. Then, Cage Bunshin. Dozens of shadow clones popped into existence, either dispersing or charging at Orochimaru, who destroyed them one after the other with swift moves of his blades. Is that all that you can do? The snakes masking the Sanin's face snarled. Since you seem to be asking for it, the real Kazama trailed of. Wind release. Heat wave. A powerful gale sent Orochimaru crashing onto a wall, much to his surprise. Before he could react, the Sanin received two Rasengan in his belly, administered by two clones. The resulting explosion blew up the rock, and Orochimaru vanished behind a cloud of dust. A second later, dozens of snakes shredded the two clones apart. I see you have made progress, Naruto-kun, Orochimaru hissed, as his eyes searched for the real blonde, but that is still not enough. He chuckled, threw his swords in the air, and then quickly joined his hands. Wind release. Orochi's breath. Wind gathered into a sphere in the center of the room, and then exploded, unleashing a powerful, destructing squall that shattered the walls themselves. While his clones vanished, Kazama used a table to protect himself from the blast, but it did not protect him from Orochimaru's kick as it went through the wood. Thrown against a wall, the blonde got up just in time to avoid getting pierced by the twin Kusanagi. That is all, Orochimaru asked, as he tried, and failed, to impale his rival. After all this time, that's all you can do. You're as pathetic as your mother. Kazama laughed. The Sannin's eyes widened, as dozens of blue chains suddenly hit his head all at once, killing white snakes and crushing his skull. Kazama then made the biggest Rasengan he could, and slammed it on the wounded ninja. The resulting explosion blew the floor apart beneath them, and made the two fall through it. Mid-air, the blonde made another Rasengan, and repeated the process once Orochimaru touched the ground. This time, there was no floor left. Only clouds. Reacting quickly, Kazama used the heat wave to propel himself, catching the broken rock above him, adhering to it. Crap, this thing is actually floating. The blonde thought, before looking where Orochimaru had fallen. At least, he's not going to make it. The Sannin snakes suddenly grabbed the rock, adhering to it, and retracted themselves. Their very angry master got out of one cloud, glaring hatefully at Kazama, his shattered head recomposing itself. Of course he is going to make it. Where are the cuss? Two swords shot out of Orochimaru's mouth. Acting quickly, Kazama deflected them with his chains, and then made them wind around the metal of the swords. Seizing the Sannin, they then threw him like a rag doll on another wall. A second later, it was the World Wanderer's time to get lifted and propelled above. Making the chains vanish, the blonde then used the heat wave to land on his limbs, his feet catching a vertical surface. Orochimaru was waiting for him. You are full of surprise, aren't you, Naruto-kun? You seem to have awakened your mother's miserable little powers. Ignoring the snake, Kazama summoned a dozen of clones. Always the same little tricks, Orochimaru whispered. I'm awfully disappointed. We don't care. The blondes all shouted, as they threw dozens of explosive kunai at the rotting man. The snake immediately joined his palm, and slammed the ground. Rashomon Gate. A huge gate of steel with a demonic appearance erupted from the rock in a puff of smoke, protecting its user from the multiple explosions. Pitiful child, the Sannin hissed, walking to his summoned side. You need to learn to respect your betters, white reptilian sea. He shouted, hundreds of white snakes launching out of his arms and charging at Kazama and his clones. Wind release. Cold wave. A powerful gale of wind sent the snakes falling in the clouds below, while Orochimaru crumbled into dust. Immediately, Kazama used a Kawarimi to switch place with one of his clones. His intuition proved itself correct, since the wall under him suddenly transformed into spikes of rock. While he and his still existing copies dispersed, Kazama saw a flying form coming at him from his left. Jumping backward, the World Wanderer dodged the floating Kusanagi, and then switched place with another clone, right before Orochimaru impaled it. Smirking, Kazama then unleashed a heat wave at the snake, brutally expelling him from the surface where he was standing. The snake barely managed to catch the wall. Just in time to receive a Rasengan right in the face. While the Sannin was falling again, Kazama used his chakra chains to whip him multiple times, in the face, chest, legs and arms. While the blonde listened to the noise of cracking bones, he then noticed the flying Kusanagi returning, and dogged it. Orochimaru of course used this time to get back on his feet, visibly hurt a lot. How the hell can you do that? Because while I improved, you decayed, Orochimaru. Kazama snarled. You're weaker than ever. You have become slow, you cannot endure blows, you cannot even regenerate yourself as fast as you have once been able to. You have become nothing more than a shadow of your former self, a walking corpse. He snorted. Please, just die, for everyone's sake. The Sannin glared at him, and then shrieked, his snakes hissing, before throwing his second Kusanagi at Kazama. The blonde dogged it, and responded by throwing two kunai at his enemy. He avoided them. The kunai transformed into clones of Naruto, who each used a Rasengan on the snake. As the dust of the resulting explosion settled, Kazama only saw a hole. His clones vanished, and he looked for the flying Kusanagi, who had mysteriously vanished. With much caution, he jumped into the opening, a dark and long corridor. "Come on," Kazama snickered, while slowly advancing, ready to attack anytime. "I know you're there, coward. Show yourself, coward," a grump voice asked, as a human appeared at the other end of the passage. "Who just called me a coward?" Kazama's eyes widened in shock. Zabuza. The incensed swordsman raised his eyebrow. "Zabuza doesn't have eyebrows." "Kazama," the swordsman asked. "That's a surprise." A powerful heat wave interrupted his words, and dissipated his henge. "You worm," Orochimaru hissed as he fled, pursued by Kazama, who continued shooting wind at his enemy. To miss such a detail. His mind has indeed been affected by this necrosis thing, the blonde thought, while smirking. He's literally brain dead. In the end, they reached a large hall with a big cube in its center. The world wanderer stopped advancing. Dozens of guards were surrounding Orochimaru. "Warden Sam. Kill him." Orochimaru's snakes shrieked with anger and rage. "I want him dead." The men immediately obeyed, taking their weapons. "Sorry kid. Nothing personal," one of them said, as he charged at Kazama. Before biting the dirt, as a blonde girl rammed a Rasengan on his back. Dynamic entry. Naruto shouted, smiling at her older counterpart. "Here I am, Naru-sensei." Kazama was left speechless by that, and then heard screams and the like. 3 forms jumped at his sides. "Sorry for the delay," Chibaku said, his kunai red with blood. "But seriously, couldn't you stay in your cell? Heck, how the hell did you manage to escape?" "By destroying the walls, I suppose," Zabuza growled, eyeing the guards he was soon going to slaughter. "Indestructible, my ass." Blood, Kitsune, having adopted his werfox form, muttered ominously, staring at his enemies as if they were meat. Screams. "Hey, the cell's walls are indestructible. I never said the rest of them were." Chibaku replied. Zabuza snorted. "Yeah, I believe you. Really? How to tell you that? No." He then shrugged. "It doesn't matter, anyway." He noticed Orochimaru, and snickered. "What is it? A horror show? A guy who has discovered that chemicals really are inflammable?" "Orochimaru," Kazama stated. "My Orochimaru." The others gasped. "I thought he was dead," Chibaku pointed out. "Apparently not," Kazama said, glaring at the soon-to-be-dead Sannin. "Don't worry, I will correct that mistake. It's because of him that this world has gone to hell. You really think you and your pathetic friends can beat me, Naruto-kun?" Orochimaru rasped. "That's the most ridiculous thing I have ever listened to." "Then why are you hiding behind your guards, coward?" Kazama shot back. Orochimaru glared, before shrieking madly. "Oh, they have a purpose, I assure you, they're the larval form of something greater." His snakes hissed. "Let me show you all, what is the meaning of power." 3 of his snakes grabbed 1 guard each and pinned them on the floor, much to their surprise. The rest observed the scene, terrified. Orochimaru made hand seals, making 3 scrolls appear on the ground. Strange markings formed around the captives. Chibaku's eyes widened, and he threw an explosive kunai at the Sannin. "Stop him! Stop him now!" Kazama reacted the first, sending a heat wave. Naruto imitated Chibaku, while Kitsune and Zabuza charged at high speed toward the snake. The guards, however, stopped them. Some engaged the 2 bruisers in a melee, while the rest countered the long-range attack by creating a wall of earth. "Too late!" Orochimaru screamed, as dust enveloped the 3 guards. "You are too late." The dust transformed them, covered them, while they screamed. Their body changed, taking different shapes, that Kazama knew all too well. A white-haired man wearing red robes. A blonde, busty woman wearing green robes. An old man wearing a black armor. Behold the rebirth of the legendary Sannin and the god of the shinobi. Orochimaru shrieked, as he put 3 kunai in the back of each corpse's head. "Behold my victory over death itself." "You asshole," Kazama muttered, disgusted and horrified. "You killed them, and now you use them as your puppets. As much as I despise them, this is just wrong. I will enjoy gutting someone that sinks so low," Zabuza declared, as he absent-mindedly beheaded another one of his enemies. "We shall break you down to the last bone," Kitsune growled, and his voice changed a bit, becoming human for a second. Where is Samahata? Orochimaru snorted, before smirking. In one of my labs, waiting to be vivisected. And you will soon join that creature. Isn't that right, Reikage Dono? 4 figures entered in the hall, behind the Sannin. Kazama glared at them, just like the rest of his team. Kitsune seemed ready to jump at the newcomer's throat. Orochimaru. The Reikage growled. How did they escape? Yugito was a bit pale, while En was frowning. The last of the 4 was a man with an eye patch, apparently their guide. Just an accident, Reikage Dono, the snake declared. We will take care of them, my old teammates and I. While Yugito and En paled as they stared at the 3 zombie, the Reikage simply shrugged. Make it quick. Of course, the snake smirked, as both the guards and the undead ninjas straightened, ready to attack. KIL. A big cloud of smoke filled the hall, surprising everyone. Revealing a big pot. What the hell? The Reikage's eyes had snapped open in obvious amazement and incomprehension. The pot of Kumo. Suddenly, air twisted around the object, and 3 forms got out of it. A redhead, immediately unsealing 2 twin puppets from a scroll. A lady in a kimono, wielding Senbon. A gray-haired man taking away his headband and revealing a Sharingan. Hello, everyone. Kakashi shouted. Sorry to be late. Kazama smirked. No, for once, you're just in time. Haku-chan. Naruto chirped, as the Yuki smiled. That is for what friends are. To help when you're in need. Sasori briefly looked at the Kumo Nin, before sighing. Well, I guess that no plan survives its contact with the enemy, who wants to take on who? The dead-looking guy is mine, Kazama said, glaring at Orochimaru. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Sarutobi are resurrected dead. The impure resurrection. Sasori frowned, his eyes shining with a disturbing mix of curiosity and determination. Sealing experts are mandatory for this task. Haku, Zabuza, we will take care of them. Chibaku, Kitsune, take on En. With joy, human. A burst of malevolent chakra threw all the Arashi on the ground and made the Kumo Nin take a step back. Kazama immediately recognized the aura, and stared at its source with obvious fear. En. Kitsune roared with 3 inhuman voices, as red chakra covered his body, tearing his fur apart and mixing itself with blood. It is time for you to die. We will consume you, the 4-tailed miniature Kyuubi roared, opening its mouth. We will feast upon your grave. And it unleashed a blast of raw power. The aspects. The humans they graced with their fire were reduced to ashes, to nothingness. Rocks were vaporized into oblivion, and one of the face of their cube was melted. Their limitless power shaped a path from this hall to the outside world, to a blue sky that they would paint in red. But then, this miserable excuse of a Jinchuriki came to punch their holy face with a paw wreathed in gold. They barely flinched, and punched the insect's face with all their might, enhancing it with their chakra. The vermin was propelled outside at the speed of the wind, and they rushed after him in pursuit, leaving the rest of the humans behind, squashing a few along the way. They jumped at the edge of the ground and fell through the clouds, following their stunned prey. It is time, the pride commanded. I shall assume direct control. Rage, more power. Selfishness, more precision. And the last aspect. The selfishness asked. Let him sleep. The rage roared. I feed on his anger. Then the 3 of us shall be sufficient to break this piece of meat spine and spirit, the pride decided, as the blonde insect's chakra cloak took the shape of 2 wings. I will show you what a true Biju can do, you despicable copy. His will changed their body. As bones got out of their chakra, 2 new tails being generated by the rage, the pride twisted their form, the selfishness making his will a reality. The bones became wings, wreathed into a burning red chakra, and they began to move swiftly, making the Kyuubi fly in the air. At the same time, 2 faces formed at the end of tails, grinning and chuckling. They were faster than the sound, and proved it by hitting the insect with their paw, sending him away. He managed to change his trajectory, but the pride predicted his course, catching the shiny insect. Rotating, they threw the insect toward the tower in the horizon. The Kyuubi then chuckled, and their 3 heads opened their muzzles, gathering demonic chakra, and then firing 3 balls of light at the still flying insect. They caught up with him and exploded into a wonderful mix of power, fire and noise. The sight of this miniature sun delighted them, until they noticed the form inside of it. Another Kyuubi, with golden, feathered wings made of chakra. A human wearing the skin of a biju, preparing himself to shoot a menacing ball at them. Ridiculous. The aspects inwardly smiled, their 3 faces focusing chakra. Make your first shot count, you won't have another. The Jinchuriki fired its ball, but they were better, smarter. The false Kyuubi now knew where they were. As expected, it tried to take them on the side, but the pride saw it coming and counterattacked. Their last mouth opened while their enemy was at close distance, the pure power tearing away its chakra cloak and propelling him on the tower, near the summit, making it explode and break. Silently, they flew toward this place, ready to devour this imitation. The girl, Naruto. As Kitsune rushed outside, Naruto had already been moving, taking 2 kunai. Things had quickly devolved into a chaotic melee, obscured by dust. She still noticed Kazama, locked in a fist fight with the dead-looking guy. This one then pushed her sensei back, before running away through the ruins that Kitsune had left. Her sensei followed him, with the old man with the black armor and Yugito on his tracks. Naruto bit her lip, and ran after them. But suddenly, a wall of earth prevented her from advancing. She tilted her head to the side, seeing a man with an eye patch. "Sorry girl," he said as he stopped touching the wall, 2 guards coming to back him up, "this is between our boss and your own. Get out of my way." "I'm afraid not," he replied, making hand seals. "WW." A projectile hit him the head, breaking his skull. Naruto stayed motionless as a huge cloud of sand wrapped itself around the guards, crushing them too. Then, it left the corpses to fall, before advancing toward the blonde. Jumping quickly above the wall, the girl began to run through the path Kitsune made, the cloud following her at high speed. What the hell is that? She wondered as she navigated around the piles of rocks left through a large, destroyed corridor. After throwing her kunai at the cloud, realizing how much it had been useless the second they went through it, she made hand seals, and created a few clones, and they dispersed once they reached a crossroad. The cloud, thankfully, followed the clones instead of her. But when she reached a large circular room with blue walls, Naruto cursed. A dead end. Images of clones crushed by sand came to her mind, soon followed by an even worse one when she rotated. The cloud was already blocking the corridor, having taken the form of a waterfall of sand and dust. Then, someone passed through it, a girl a few years older than her, whose green eyes were cold and surrounded by black rings. She had scarlet, mid-long hair, and a very fair skin. She was wearing red and black robes, and a large gourd on her back. The kanji for love was tattooed on her forehead. "I saw you," she muttered with an emotionless, cold voice. "My mother told me who you are like me." Naruto blinked. "You are a Jinchuriki." She put the 2 and 2 together. "You were sealed in this cube." "No more," she replied. "I am free to kill once again." You want to kill me?" Naruto wondered, astonished. "But why? We are not the one who imprisoned you." "It doesn't matter," she said. "You are like me, that is all I need to know. Your blood will make me stronger." "So you're a vampire?" the blonde asked. "I am Gaara of the desert," she said. "Daughter of the Shukaku. Killing you will prove my love for her, and validate my existence." Her demon must be manipulating her, Naruto thought. "I don't understand you, but we don't have to try to kill each other." "We just did," Gaara replied, her gourd releasing a cloud of sand in the air, advancing toward the blonde. "Die, or resist. Either way will please me. I think I will take a third option, beat the crap out of you," she shouted, beginning a jutsu. "If you're looking for a fight, you will have it." Water release. Stormy blockade. The liquid in the air condensed, taking the form of a small waterfall, right above the cloud of sand. It became solid, and dropped on the ground. Quickly, she threw 3 shuriken at her enemy, who didn't even move a finger. More sand got out of Gaara's gourd and caught the projectiles, before floating toward the blonde. The redhead's eyes had slightly widened in sadistic anticipation. Water release. Snake's mouth. Naruto shouted, breathing liquid. It adopted the shape of a snake, and drowned the sand. "Sand arrow," Gaara muttered, as she wavered her hands. Little, pointy projectiles flowed out of her gourd, flying toward Naruto. The blonde charged at her enemy, avoiding the attacks. She is obviously a long-range battler, the Jinchuriki thought. Meaning she must suck at close combat. Reaching Gaara, Naruto prepared to punch her, until another mass of sand surged to protect the redhead. The blonde used a Shunshin to move behind her enemy, before using a Rasengan on her back. The attack surprised the Mad Demon vessel, catapulting her away. Before she crashed, however, her gourd transformed into a blanket of sand which wrapped itself around the girl, protecting her from the impact. Her sand acts on its own, and it acts fast. Shukaku's doing, the Kyuubi whispered. Its chakra controls the sand. I doubt this vessel is something else than a mere puppet of meat. Sighing, Naruto summoned a few shadow clones to fight with her, as Gaara rose to her feet, her sand transforming into a little tsunami. It was however very slow, the compressed masses of it moving half as quickly as the rest. With a henge, Naruto and two of her clones took the form of shuriken, picked up and thrown by other clones above the advancing desert, which crushed her copies. They changed form mid-air, and then punched and kicked Gaara's face. I see. It must be. The redhead transformed into dust, and split in two. Another Gaara got out of the original's body and leapt backward, while the original transformed into animated sand and exploded. Her clones popped up in smoke, while she was thrown away, landing on Gaara's miniature desert. Crap. Immediately, the ground wrapped itself around her ankles. Despite her struggle to break free, she was soon immobilized by a cocoon of sand and lifted above the ground, Gaara licking her lips at the sight. Now, only one way to escape. Naruto wished with all her willpower her theory was right, and gathered her chakra. Sand funeral. Gaara roared, opening her palm and closing it. The sand began to compress. And Naruto managed to slip through of it. For once, Gaara's startled expression didn't chill the blonde to the bone. How? She was so startled that she didn't move to dodge a chakra-enhanced kick, which went through both the sand shield that appeared and the layer covering the redhead's skin. Gaara was catapulted backward, her head hitting the ground. Naruto then landed on the miniature desert, and she jumped by using it as a platform. The sand tried to stop her, but it simply grazed her ankles and nothing more. She grabbed the ceiling, attached her feet and palms to it, and observed Gaara below. The girl's face was the very picture of rage and aggression. You use the same technique, she glared at the blonde. You are like this cat, you fight in the same way. So you know Yugito-chan? Naruto asked, eyeing the desert for any sign of danger. Let me guess, she's the one who defeated you. After all, she was using her technique. It was so simple. Gaara's sand was laced with Shukaku's chakra, which allowed it to twist its form by making its component adhere together. It was simply a much more advanced amelioration of the tree-walking exercise, used for destructive purpose, with one glaring weakness. If someone touched it and used its own chakra to adhere to it, it imbalanced the technique and reduced what was in contact with the body to normal sand, completely harmless. Impressive thinking, the Kyuubi commented, impressed. Our huge reserves of chakra make such an operation possible, but to know it would work beforehand, how did you figure that out? When me and my clones touched her, Naruto explained, I used Yugito's technique on the layer of sand covering her face. It separated itself from the sand clone, but did not grab us like the desert had. The only explanation was that I somehow disarmed it. This is surprising, the Biju muttered. I didn't expect such smart thinking from someone like you. Naruto's jaw clenched. What does it mean? Figure that out too. You are like her, Gaara muttered. I will kill you for that, Mother Sand will kill you. Your mother? Naruto frowned. You're talking about the Shukaku. It is not your mother. Don't listen to it. Mother. Gaara massaged her temples, ignoring the blonde. Please, mother, I need your help. Please, protect me from her. She slammed her hands together. Forced sleep technique. Stop her. The Kyuubi roared in the back of her mind. She's unleashing Shukaku. Naruto immediately threw herself at her enemy, as the little desert compressed itself around Gaara, taking the shape of an egg. No sooner than the blonde kicked its surface that it exploded, forcing her to leap backward. Gaara wasn't human anymore. You hurt my baby, a 9 feet tall yellow tanuki growled, its huge tail balancing in its back. I will repaint this room with your blood. Naruto snorted, and gave the creature a challenging gesture. Bring it on. The man reborn, Kakashi. The first thing Kakashi did was to shoot a fireball at the asshole responsible for all this mess. The rakage threw his robes away, his muscular body wreathed with lighting. His technique protected him from the blast, as if it was nothing more than a breeze. There is only one possible reason explaining why you can be there, the Kumo leader stated. Mabui betrayed me. She's the only one with the ability to teleport objects within our territory. Look at yourself before speaking of betrayal, Kakashi muttered, beginning a hand seal sequence. You break deals and ceasefires like it's nothing, you're one hell of a bad leader. Water release. Aquasphere. He inhaled and exhaled, launching a massive ball of concentrated liquid at his enemy. You think you're the first one to try to counter my shield with water? The Raikage snorted, before wavering his hands. His body generated a powerful bolt of lightning that instantly vaporized the ball, evaporating it. You're the foolish one there. Say the man who leads his country into ruin and destruction, Kakashi replied, as he threw 3 explosive kunai at the Raikage. Kumo is dying because of you. The man's expression twisted into one of anger. I made Kumogakure stronger than ever before. He shouted as the explosions didn't even faze him. He moved his ankles, and ran at an incredible speed toward Kakashi, ready to punch him. Obito's Sharingan, however, allowed Kakashi to see the incoming ninja without problem. Predicting his trajectory, the Junin leapt on the side at the right time, while at the same time unlocking his evolved eye. Black fire spread over the Kumo nin's right forearm, consuming it. The Raikage didn't even shrug, and cut his whole limb near the shoulder with his other palm, leaving it to drop on the ground. Amaterasu, the holy fire, he said, unimpressed. It must be quite consuming, isn't it? A non-Uchiha isn't built to use this power. And nobody should help a necromancer, Kakashi pointed out, doing his best to ignore his sudden tiredness. He is unfortunately somewhat right. But I have enough chakra to keep up with him for the time. Orochimaru will betray you, stab your back you, just as you did with us. I doubt the Shinigami will allow you to pass into the afterlife after you screwed with him and with so many people. Thanks to me, Kumo has become an empire, the Raikage replied evenly. If I must be punished in the next world for this achievement, then I will gladly pay that small price. I regret nothing, he said, shooting bolts of lightning chakra at his enemy, but missed, the Hatake proving himself to be too fast. You should, he replied, preparing another Amaterasu. Others nations will soon gang up on you, even Iowa, after they learn what you did, and who you're scheming with. The Raikage laughed. They can hate us all they want, as long as they fear us. With the Biju we'll extract from your friends, the continent will kneel and surrender. He suddenly charged at Kakashi. Or it will die. The Junin leapt on the side, but then the Raikage's armor generated a lightning bolt aimed at his head. Just as you shall. The surge almost connected with his hair, and was pushed back by white chakra. What? The Raikage muttered, as he locked eyes with Kakashi. How? Because unlike you, I earned the trust of someone, the Junin replied, as an armor of white chakra covered his body, taking the form of a bare-handed samurai, with a familiar face. Obito, Kakashi thought, as he stared at the stern visage of his old friend. This time, I will do something right. His Susanoo shifting, Kakashi prepared himself to charge. Let's see if your armor is a match for mine. The Ice Princess, Haku. Like everyone in Kiri's Anbu, Haku had read the information mine that was the bingo book. This thing catalogued everything known about enemy ninja from other countries, including the 3 Sannin. Of the 3, Jiraiya was widely considered to be the more versatile. While Tsunade Senju was more or less a god of taijutsu and medical technique, and Orochimaru a ninjutsu specialist, Jiraiya was very balanced. True, he was the best seal master of the 3, but he was mainly a generalist, below his teammates in their areas of specialization but exceptional in just about every discipline. Fighting him was more or less suicide for someone below S rank, which meant bad news for them. That is, if they were to fight fairly. Making a hand seal, Haku released the gallons of water she had sealed in the pot, using it to make a large dome of ice mirrors encircling her, Zabuza and Jiraiya, while leaving enough humidity for her master to use. She quickly jumped inside one. Zabuza-sama. Same tactic as ever, Haku, the swordsman said, making hand seals. Killing mist formation, and then you seal him in the pot. I assume you know how. Of course, she muttered, throwing Senbon at the Sannin, who gracefully avoided them. Will it be enough? I hope it will, he replied, as he finished his sequence. Kurigakure no Jutsu. The humidity transformed into a thick mist, and Haku focused to distinguish the heat signatures of the others. While it was easy to pinpoint Zabuza, the undead was, well, since it was like animated ice, she could still recognize it. Moving faster than the eye could follow through her different mirrors, Haku threw multiple waves of Senbon, a few of them with little bells attached to them. Jiraiya's hair grew and wrapped themselves around him like a blanket, protecting him from the attack. But the bells loudly indicated to Zabuza where the Sannin was. A huge sword swiftly beheaded the man, without doing any noise. But no sooner than the missing nin leapt backward than the two parts of the Sannin reattached themselves. Immediately after, the man slammed his hand on the ground, summoning a huge blue toad armed with a big mass. "What the hell?" he muttered with a male voice, before noticing Jiraiya. And smashing him with his weapon, much to the Kiri nin's amazement. "I fought with you when Orochimaru killed you, Jiraiya," the toad pointed out, as he gracefully jumped backward to avoid a Rasengan. "And I can recognize a dead man when I see one. It saddens me to see you like that, but don't worry, I will free you from your torment." He eyed Haku. "Who are you and what do you want?" "We are Orochimaru's enemies," she replied, "and we want to help Jiraiya to find rest. Then I suggest a team up." The amphibian took his mass, and prepared himself to strike. "If he's dumb enough to summon me, then he's nothing more than a mere stupid killing machine, and without his summoning, he will be forced to rely on ninjutsu, especially in an enclosed space like this one and without enhanced senses like me." And effectively, Jiraiya's palms released a huge wave of fire in front of them, almost burning the toad. Haku, slowing down midway through the air, shaped two spears of ice and threw them at the Sannin, who deflected them with his bare hands, only to be beheaded again by Zabuza. Before the undead could recuperate, the toad jumped on him and restrained him, only sighing when the hair began to graze his skin. "What are you waiting for?" he asked. "Nothing," Haku said, as she activated the pot's power. It absorbed Jiraiya inside of itself, without much problem. The Yuki frowned slightly. "It was far easier than I thought it would." Jiraiya in his prime was a force to be reckoned with, the toad shrugged. "But he was always too dependent on collaboration techniques with us for his own good." "One problem dealt with," Zabuza said, as the dome of ice cracked and turned into water. Haku looked where most of the noise was coming from, the corner of the room where the undead Tsunade punched Sasori, who popped up in a cloud of smoke. "This is problematic," the real redhead said, as he landed next to Zabuza, his puppets Izanagi and Izanami following him. "I cannot get close enough of her without getting in danger." Zabuza shrugged. "You puppeteers are all the same. In close combat, you're toast." "Sorry to know more things than how to use a blade," Sasori replied, as Tsunade charged at them. "And you, Mr. Toad? It's Gamakachi for you," he said, balancing his mass. "I think I will stick with you for a while, might be fun." He jumped on Tsunade, trying to stomp on her, only to be punched through the ceiling by the Sannin. "Where is Chibaku?" Haku asked to Sasori, as she created walls of ice, both to slow down Tsunade and to protect her allies from shuriken thrown by the surviving staff of the prison. "Wasn't he with you?" "He was, but he left," the redhead stated. "To get back something Snakey stole and to help a friend, I quote." "TCH, Zabuza snorted, as Tsunade broke through the last icy barrier. "I guess it's a little late to go to the toilets." The Death Seeker, N. He was losing consciousness. Vicious claws were ravaging his belly and face, shredding through his chakra fur. "Kid, wake up." The Kyuubi roared as it stopped its six-tailed counterpart from ripping them apart. The three heads of the creature were grinning, the rest of their body between N-zone and a large floor of golden bricks. The sky above was blue, but the vessel's vision was slowly turning red. "You are weak, while we are strong." Three voices sang at the same time. "You bow before a human, lowering yourself in servitude, while we didn't. You were tamed by your vessel, while we tamed ours. You are a shame for all of us Biju." A shame, N thought, souvenir flashing in his mind. "Yeah, I suppose that's what I am." Suddenly, he wasn't in the vault anymore, but in his old home of Konoha, observed by faceless shadows. "You are such a shame for this village," they whispered. "Don't come near me. Don't come near my child. Die. Disappear. Why are you alive, while so many perished? Pain is simply a word for you, but a reality for us. Konoha doesn't need you. Vanish. Disappear. Cry. Leave us alone. Give me my son back. My mother is dead because of you. People are suffering because of you. Monster, corrupted child, son of whores and beggars, puppet of the devil. You wear the skin of an innocent child, but you do not fool us. Your life must end for ours to continue. Listen to the cries of those you have orphaned. You murdered my father. I hate you so much. I hate you." I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. Suddenly, N was a child again, sitting in a corner, crying. The shadows continued to haunt him, but then a light made them vanish. Little Foxy, are you ready? A gentle man said, offering him a hand. Smile, boy, I'm taking you from this hole. 'Cause I'm the awesome killer bee and you're the cute Mr. 9E. Welcome in Kumo. You're such a nice kid. From now on, you're a ninja of Kumogakure, and, as the Raikage of this village, I officially say, welcome home. Hello, N, we're your new teammates. Hey, would you like to eat with us? Do you want to, sleep at our home? It would be so fun. We're B-sensei students. Nice to meet you. You're cool. Do want to go out with me? Can I have your autograph? Please, accept this gift. You're my best friend. I admit, human, that you are the first one of your kind to earn my respect. Enjoy it. You're officially my rival, Naruto-kun, and I swear on the Nibi that I will beat you one day, but for now, let's celebrate your taming of the furball. I like you. 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 I hate you. The light vanished, along with Konoha, leaving only a bloody battlefield full of corpses and angry ghosts. If you hadn't left Konoha, none of this would have happened. You killed, and killed, and killed, so why are you happy, while we are not? Mom, Dad, please wake up, please. Why? Why did you do this? Why did you destroy my home? We never did anything to your village. You're the responsible of all of our misery. You must die. I am dying because of you. I never wanted this. I never wanted this war. I never wanted you all to die. Then die with us. Why are you resisting? The three voices asked, their claws piercing N's belly, despite his Kyuubi's best efforts. Why don't you let us rip this seal, and end everything? We can sense it. You desire death, Naruto Namikaze, while you, our other self, you want your freedom. We can give you both what you crave. You just have to give up. And if I say I like my current state of existence? N's Kyuubi asked through their shared mouth. You should understand, isn't that your host that gave you an individuality and a goal beyond mindless destruction? Mindless. No, not mindless, the three voices replied. We want to destroy mankind not simply for destruction's sake, but for the sake of Earth itself. These insects need to know oblivion, and we shall give it to them. You talk like the August star. The Kyuubi growled. Amatsu Mikabashi wanted to reduce everything back to nothing, and failing that, to remake reality in its twisted image. We will simply retake the Earth from the human vermin, and rebuild the paradise it used to be before the first of their kind came along, the three heads smirked. This future came to us in the form of this child, reflection. Through his eyes, we saw what mankind was, a bunch of self-tortured ants, destroying themselves and the world around them without care or sentiment. Through him, we did evolve into a greater being, we ascended to a new level. We have gained a goal, indeed, to be the cure to the human virus. Don't you remember these old times, back when the world was young and fresh, back when there were no past, no future, no beginning and no end, back when there were no such thing as right and wrong, conflict and sentience? Their claws shredded deeper through his flesh, making the Kyuubi groan. Don't you want to get back to them? Don't you want to turn back the clock? Don't you want to return to the Earth? No. The Kyuubi gave its best headbutt to its counterpart, making it flinch slightly. You are insane, a beast without wisdom. Don't you see that our time is done? That it is mankind's time to live and strive. So you are ready to fight for them. Because they are the future. The three heads laughed. This is laughable, no, absurd. To you, maybe, the Kyuubi replied, as it managed to push back its rival, making it stagger. Quickly getting up, it prepared itself to attack. You are infantile rage made flesh, the original selfishness seeing nothing beyond its own person. To you, the world is something that belongs to you, while it is the other way. In some way, you have become like the worst scum of humanity. We have no right to interfere with mankind's fate, brothers, or we won't be better than them. Humans enslaved us. They roared, charging and engaging their counterpart in a fistfight. They will never leave us alone. They interfered with our fate, depriving us of our freedom and choice, called upon the August star and stole our very identity. Why shouldn't inflict pain and death to them? Why shouldn't we make them our victims? Because there is still hope for them. The Kyuubi shot back as it punched one of the three heads. I have seen it. Through the ages, people are slowly growing up. They are forsaking war and conflict for peace and friendship, even if it a very slow process. They can become wise, and that is why the great sage gave them his power. Kyuubi. You are as foolish as Izanagi. The three heads roared, as they focused their chakra to launch a blast. You have chosen your side. Yeah, I have chosen the good one, the Kyuubi said, as it focused its chakra too. At the same time, the two Kyuubi released a blast of power. While En's Kyuubi had more power than its counterpart, the three monsters had better control over their own, and as such, were keeping up with them. That's it, until En's Kyuubi decided to be serious about it. His ray suddenly switched color, suddenly becoming like ethereal gold. The power surge surprised the enemy Kyuubi, which was hit by the blast at full force. Its chakra cloak was vaporized, and when the dust settled, only the unconscious human body of Kitsune remained. The Kyuubi stayed still a moment. Well, it is done. Two rays of light shot it in the back, near the heart, piercing his chakra cloak and making it scream. Before it could even rotate, something stomped on it, pinned it on the ground, and then shredded its ribs with huge claws. Meanwhile, Kitsune's body had vanished in a surge of red chakra. Three heads were grinning, as the claws penetrated deeper and deeper through flesh of chakra, reaching the human inside. Our own variation of the cage bunshin, you see, I suppose you weren't taught that, weren't you? You are too dependent on your detection power, even against an opponent that knows exactly how it works and how to counter it. They laughed sadistically. Goodbye, kin traitor. Then, both En and his beast screamed as their enemy's chakra was forcefully injected in their body, spreading like a malevolent infection. The blonde felt his biju's dolor and fear as its mind was consumed by the malevolent, hostile power, and then death. In one brutal motion, the three monsters in one cut the murdered Kyuubi in half. Its last shriek of pain resonated in En's mind, as the Jinchuriki regained his human form, mostly unscathed. Physically at least. His empty eyes stared at the three-headed Kyuubi, which was licking its lips. The legs. The arms. The heart. So hard to choose. Kyuubi. Only silence answered. Kyuubi. Are you there? Please, please. Answer me. But there was no more biju left to answer. At this moment, En's gaze blazed with fury. The transformed Kitsune towered over his body, growling in anticipation. Any last word? Yeah, En muttered. But not for today. One instant later, his body was clad in golden chakra, and he jumped, punching the Kyuubi in the belly with all his might, getting through the mix of blood and chakra. He felt his hand burning, and heard the monster scream. Kyuubi, thank you, he muttered, as he reached the boy under the demonic flesh. For everything. In one swift motion, he extracted Kitsune from his demonic body, and threw him away. The Kyuubi shrieked, twisting and melting. This is not over. It screamed with three voices, as it tried to grab its unconscious container. En, however, was faster. His right hand took the form of a large spear, which he used to impale the living mass of demonic chakra as if it were butter. Then, the Kumo Nin transformed it in a scythe, and he shredded through the creature, cutting it in half. It's not so funny anymore once you're the one ripped apart, isn't it, bastard? En asked, before slashing through the melting beast, which continued to shriek with its three heads. You worm. You're the one to talk. En taunted it. You cannot maintain your form without your host. Not bad for a supposedly superior being, to depend on a human. He frowned as he beheaded the creature. Die, you hypocrite. The monster barked one last time, before exploding in a surge of chakra. En stayed immobile a moment, closing his eyes. The Kyuubi's spirit had vanished from his head, leaving only his power behind it. En was alone in his head, and he hated it. He tilted his head to the side, staring at his sleeping enemy. He looked so peaceful. En briefly hesitated, knowing that he was about to do an unforgivable act, but the compulsion to do it was too strong. He walked toward the boy, and raised his hand, transforming it into a scythe. Please, forgive me. En lowered his gaze in shame. I will free you from your demons. He lowered his weapon. And was pushed away, teeth gnawing through his cloak of chakra. In surprise, he rotated on himself like a whirlwind, and threw the attacking creature away. Recognizing the creature, En's eyes widened as it jumped next to a kitsune, and another blonde. Good job, Samahata, the boy named Chibaku said, as he took a scroll from his back. I knew I was right to go to that creepy laboratory beforehand. You know, I have the feeling I'm turning like Kabuto. My curiosity will kill me one of these days. Samahata simply glared at En and barked. Ah, yeah, I almost forgot, Chibaku smiled. The bad pun before fighting an asshole. Guy, if your teeth are as golden as your skin, could you give me one? I am kind of low on cash right now. The deceiver, Tsukiyomi. They were before a large mirror, seeing through the veil of space at one Kazama Arashi. So you teleported him out of his cell? Susanoo asked to the avatar of the dark force. He manifested your powers. Already. The power of the void is growing within him, Mikabashi replied. It is in its gestalt state, but its seed is growing. The chakra of Naruto Uzumaki has begun to change, to adapt itself to my presence. Soon, he will probably be able to consciously control a small part of it. But he needs his own pocket dimension to use them to their full potential, Amaterasu pointed out, as Kazama cornered Orochimaru near the edge of the prison, where the last wall had been blown up. Do you intend to contact him to teach him how to shape one? Why didn't you bring him in this place? Because it is not the time, the entity said, as the blonde engaged his enemy in a taijutsu battle. Naruto Uzumaki is not in the right state of mind for the moment. He will not accept his planned role if I contact him now. Tsukiyomi ignored the chatter, observing Orochimaru as Kazama punched him in the face, slightly breaking its decaying skull. What happened to him? When he teleported into the world we are currently observing, he accidentally absorbed a small part of the Shinigami's essence, Mikabashi explained. Without a seal to contain it, the power is decaying Orochimaru down to his very soul. Soon, nothing will be left of him, not even a thought remaining in the pure world. This is a fitting fate for this betrayer, Amaterasu said. He spent all his life trying to cheat his own mortality, but now, the very embodiment of death itself is killing him, the irony. He can still summon the dead, Susanoo noticed. How? The Shinigami should prevent such a thing. The art of necromancy is powered by death itself, the August Star stated. Back since mankind was young, it was used to commune with the dead and ask for their wisdom. The Nadime's technique is simply an extension of this magic, adapted for the use of ninja. Tsukiyomi frowned behind his mask. You imply that the Shinigami is somehow okay with such a thing. As long as the flow of the souls isn't in true danger, it won't act. Much of the use of this technique is done on a small scale, which is at worst a minor annoyance for the underworld deities. However, if the necromancer becomes too greedy, the Shinigami will come to track him down and devour him. It explains why Orochimaru hasn't used this technique very much, Tsukiyomi thought. Someone so afraid of death would be very cautious with such dangerous jutsu. You cannot win, Orochimaru, Kazama stated, as he pinned his enemy on a wall, trying to cut his throat. The snakes hissed, and then chuckled. The world wanderer suddenly jumped back, dodging a kunai thrown at him, by the Sandaime Hokage. This is going to suck, isn't it? The blonde muttered, as his chains of chakra manifested and almost impaled the undead warrior, who jumped out of the way, before using a fire technique to shoot a series of fireballs at Kazama. Of course, Orochimaru then used the opportunity to open his mouth, releasing the two Kusanagi which almost impaled the Uzumaki on the spot. What is the problem, Naruto-kun? The Sannin whispered sadistically, as the blonde stepped back more and more to preserve his own life, and almost falling in the sky. He was on the edge of the room, and cornered. You seem trapped like an animal, the snakes hissed. And you can guess that I am not very kind with my prey. Tsukiyomi distinctly heard the noise of gritting teeth, and then noticed the shadow at the periphery of the mirror's vision. Reinforcements, but for who? A jutsu answered his question. The undead Hokage was shot in the back by a blue fireball, and sent to fall through the clouds, barely catching the surface of a wall. Both Kazama and Orochimaru stared at the responsible, a young woman with purple clothes and golden hair. Mikabashi's future victim gasped loudly. Yugito. Traitor. Orochimaru shrieked, as he stepped backward to avoid a blast of fire. Don't mistake my current actions for betrayal, she replied, obviously to both of the men present. I am fighting for Kumo, and right now, you, Orochimaru, are the greatest menace to its stability. She locked eyes with Kazama. I will take care of the undead, but remember, after him, you and I will have a rematch. Don't die beforehand. Don't worry. The blonde shouted happily, as the other Jinchuriki jumped from the edge. He stared at Orochimaru, cracking his knuckles in anticipation. Let's end our feud here and now, Orochimaru-kun. At that one distinct moment, Tsukiyomi found the Sanin's enraged expression to be completely priceless, if very creepy. Chapter 18. End of a Storm. I will call it Fluffy, Chibaku said, as he released his new puppet, one of the huge demonic bulls that Sasori had captured, dollified, and given to his student before they separated again. The large corpse's face had been replaced by a metallic helmet, and its right hand by what looked like a miniature cannon. Now, just have to learn what kind of equipment it has, the puppeteer thought, as he jumped on the thing's back, opening a little door in it and locking it behind him. He found himself inside a sphere of iron, covered with familiar seals. Biting his finger, Chibaku mixed his blood into them, and his soul left his body for another. It was like with Momo. Suddenly, he could see through his doll's hidden eyes, and control its limbs. The maneuverability was nearly perfect, the puppeteer's mind immediately adapting to its new vessel. Leave, he ordered to Samahata with a bestial, deep voice. Take Kitsune away and join the others. He stared at En, whose hands had morphed into two golden blades of chakra. I will kill him. It wasn't a boast. Only a statement. The fish appeared to nod, opened its mouth, and much to Chibaku's disgust, swallowed its master whole, before scrawling away. That's so freaky, he thought, before focusing on En, who had vanished. Immediately, the puppeteer sensed the two blades piercing his torso. He didn't feel pain. Well, not in the traditional sense at least. It was simply annoying, like a mosquito's sting. Rotating on himself like a whirlwind, Fluffy threw En on the ground, and then attempted to crush him under its feet, hoof, or whatever. The yellow shinobi rose up and jumped backward, joining his hands. Golden lightning, he shouted, as his chakra transformed into bolts of electricity. The doll's skin burned slightly, but the attack didn't do much damage. If you want to play like that, Chibaku thought, touching his modified right hand, activating it. And launching a cone of fire at En. Yes. Chibaku shouted with Fluffy's voice. A good old flamethrower. Thank you sensei for this wonderful gift. Are you a pyromaniac or something? En asked calmly, dispersing the fire with a wind technique. He pointed his fingers at the doll, his chakra being shot from them in the form of bullets. Chibaku shielded himself with its puppet's arms, which the projectiles barely grazed. I do enjoy fireworks a bit, the puppeteer admitted while observing his enemy. Distance attacks are useless against him, since he can either avoid or counter them. A good old fistfight might be the solution. In a blink of an eye, Chibaku charged at En with a speed disproportionate with his puppet's size, pistons inside it making such prowess possible. Surprised, the Cloud Nin barely avoided being crushed by a deadly punch by leaping to his side, and then countered by transforming his hands into scimitars. Balancing its arm, Fluffy hit him with the back of its left palm and sent the ninja flying in the air. En's arm extended while he was above the ground, and his clawed hand attempted to grab Fluffy's head. Instead, the doll caught it with his left hand, used it to make his enemy twirl and then breaking the floor with his body. Before En got up on his legs, the mechanical bull tackled him with the strength of a cannonball, breaking bones, and finishing with a good headbutt that threw the Cloud Nin off the platform and into the clouds. Almost immediately, En saved himself by grabbing the floor with his extended arms and using them to latch onto the surface. Roaring, the Cloud Nin then ran at Chibaku faster than the eyes could follow, like a golden lightning bolt. The puppeteer felt the ninja damaging his doll on the torso, arms, legs, just about everywhere. And yet, he could only see a yellow blur. It was like fighting the wind. Focusing, Chibaku stayed immobile, even as En's claws grazed Fluffy's belly. Trying to guess his enemy's trajectory, the puppeteer suddenly kicked in the air, hitting his enemy and pushing him away. Of course, he was already back on his feet, and began to run around his adversary faster than the wind. He is far too fast, the puppeteer thought, mentally preparing himself for the inevitable attack. And yet, a physical fight is the only way to defeat him. I must somehow make him careless. Time to use the reason you suck speech technique. Why are you running away, En? Chibaku asked. Is it because unlike Kitsune, I am not lying unconscious on the ground? En's response was to punch Fluffy's helmet, slightly breaking it. I never run away, he growled, before continuing to hit the doll's head. I never did, no matter what. Bravo. I always knew you were a hypocrite, but you managed to surpass even yourself. Chibaku replied as he slapped the Cloud Nin with enough power to push him away. The ninja again vanished in a blur, and the puppeteer continued his monologue. You pretend you are some kind of good guy, and yet you openly support a dictator and a crazy mad scientist. You obey orders, no matter how immoral they are. You are simply running away, compromising yourself by following the easy way instead of rebelling. That is completely wrong. N's voice snapped, as multiple bullets of chakra pierced Fluffy's damaged skin. I am doing my duty. You are a coward, Chibaku stated, trying to locate his enemy. Your duty would have been to save your town, to stop the Raikage from ever going to war, to prevent your leaders from bleeding your country dry. You're just a dog of the Raikage, willingly staying on a leash. Someone like you should be able to understand. N snarled, as he clawed through Fluffy's legs. I have seen the way you treat this Sasori. You obey him, respect him. What is the difference between this link and the one I have with the Raikage? Unlike you, I wouldn't hesitate to criticize my mentor if I think he's doing something wrong, Chibaku stated flatly, before pinning an enraged N on the ground with his doll's left hand. He pointed his flamethrower at the Cloud Nin's face. How does it feel to be on the bad end of a battle, for once? He unleashed the fire. N screamed, his cloak of chakra protecting him from the flames, but not from the temperature. Elemental physic, really? It feels, he smirked. Like victory. At this distinct moment, Chibaku sensed a spear of chakra drilling through Fluffy's belly, right near. The puppeteer's eyes snapped open, just in time to see golden chakra breaking through his protective sphere, diluting the bloody seals in the process. Cursing, Chibaku opened the door to the outside world and fled, but not before activating one distinct array. Just as he managed to put a short distance between himself and his puppet, Fluffy exploded, its fuel powering the self-destruct mechanism. The explosion's breath pushed the blonde away, who observed the firework. Sorry Fluffy, it was a fun adventure, if short, the puppeteer said, as he rose on his legs. My puppets always break themselves as soon as I get used them. I really need to change my strategy one of these days. A golden flail flew out of the inferno, and almost smashed Chibaku's head. The puppeteer's reflexes saved his life, and his eyes noticed the burning Cloud Nin charging at him, his body covered with flames. Why the hell don't you die? The blonde asked as he avoided a punch, his own hands becoming clad with a green glow. Because, N growled, his tone laced with pain. There are so many people who deserve to kill me, more than you do. He's far slower. I'm amazed he can even stand, so I'm not the only one after your skin. Chibaku asked, trying to find an opening. But as if N wasn't already dangerous on his own, the flames were protecting his skin as much as the golden chakra underneath. Can't we both pretend that I do deserve to kill you? After all, you did beat up my comrades. I did, terrible things. Under Kumo's flag, the Jinchuriki growled, as he attempted to grab Chibaku. Arsonist, murderer, I am, a monster, I killed people, in this pointless war, no redemption for me, only death, will be my salvation. But you really suck at dying, you know. I get it. It's his chakra. The Kyuubi's power is the only reason you're still standing, isn't it? First Kitsune, then me, the wounds you have received should have killed you long ago, but your golden cloak is moving your body while your muscles can't anymore. It's like, an armor wearing, the person underneath, N murmured, his movements turning hazardous and clumsy. Always it comes, to protect me. Living or not, an armor is still an armor, Chibaku declared, wavering his fingers. If the man underneath is dead, it's simply a tool without will. What followed happened in a matter of seconds. Chibaku's right palm approached N's ribs, and the puppeteer's fingers pushed through the flames, chakra and flesh, their skin burning in the process. At the same time, N's fist slammed on his enemy's torso, breaking ribs. As Chibaku was thrown a few meters away by the strength of the blow, quickly healing his wounded hand and torso, N stayed still a moment, unfazed, and soundly fell on the floor, coughing blood. What did you do? He muttered, his golden armor evaporating, revealing the burned and bleeding teenager underneath, to me. I severed your heart's arteries, Chibaku explained, his wounds closing slowly, the dead skin dropping on the ground. The Kyuubi's power won't be able to access it, and as such the internal damage is going to kill you. That's impressive, N coughed, flames beginning to burn his flesh. It seems that you did indeed deserve to defeat me. It didn't have to end like that, the puppeteer pointed out, aware that his enemy's next words would be his last. We could have avoided all of this. Yes, but, N smiled for the last time. You had to do the right thing. In the end, it is all that matters, he sighed, and then fell silent. Shibaku stayed immobile, observing the fire consuming the Kumo nin in some sort of twisted funeral pyre. What a waste, the puppeteer muttered. If things had been different, we might have become companions. The puppeteer closed his eyes and left. Rest in peace, guardian of the hidden cloud. The man reborn, Kakashi. The power of the Susanoo, in theory, needed 2 Mangekyo Sharingan to awaken fully, both eyes giving the energy and control necessary to maintain the shape of such an armor. One meant that the Susanoo would not be able to both maintain the shape and attack. Basic chakra manipulation. Kakashi had found a way around this problem: practice. Being a specialist of chakra manipulation, it had only taken him a few tries to fully manifest the Susanoo, mainly by using the eye to keep the shape stable and his own chakra control to move the whole structure. However, it also meant that he couldn't do any jutsu, with his own hands at least. Also, it was really chakra consuming. Not that he wasn't used to that, but still. Your armor is indeed impressive, the Raikage stated, as he punched the spectral Obito's head, barely making it flinch, and right after stopping the Susanoo's fist with his only palm. But against my father's technique, it is nothing. The ninja joined words with acts by hitting the white chakra with his shoulder, the shock making Kakashi stagger. Like a bull, the Raikage charged toward him, then seized him with his last arm, and made the Jonin fall on the ground. His fist then knocked the armor, separating it from Kakashi, the power behind each blow almost stunning the gray-haired shinobi. The Susanoo, however, gave a good headbutt to the rampaging large man, and joined its hands to bash him in the ear, propelling him a few meters away and allowing Kakashi to rise up. Your power, the power of the Uchiha, Ace said as he clenched his fist, ruled battlefield for ages, but it didn't rule me. I will defeat you in the same way I knocked them all down, with my father's ultimate technique. He pointed his index at Kakashi, chakra focusing around it. The finger of hell. Kakashi frowned. Then I will bring you down with the jutsu an Uchiha helped me create. The Susanoo slammed its palms, beginning a hand seal sequence. The lightning cutter. A ball of blue lightning formed in the right of an ethereal palm. Raikiri. He ran. The Raikage ran. Both had their arm extended, their technique ready to pierce their enemy. But Kakashi, deep down, was a hardened pragmatist, so when the Raikage came into arm's reach, the Jonin deflected his finger with his free hand and rammed the Raikiri right into the Cloud Nin's chest. The man seemed confident his armor would protect him, and showed a stern, emotionless face. That is, until the Raikiri went through the lightning protection and then through flesh. At this moment, the Raikage's expression became one of dread. Not stopping, Kakashi continued to push the Susanoo's arm farther, and the ball of thunder erupted out of the corpse's back, before swiftly retreating. The leader of Kumo stood for a few seconds, but in the end, he loudly fell on his knees, and then on his face. Why do you think I call it the lightning cutter? Kakashi asked to his dying enemy. This is the ultimate evolution of the Chidori, specifically made to counter the Sandaime Raikage's protection, just in case my team had to fight him, back during the Third Great War. And you just proved it indeed works. The Raikage's eyes locked with his own, full of rage and shock. You, trash. Those who do not follow their village's orders and wishes are said to be trash, Kakashi whispered, but those who betray their allies and comrades, like you, are worse than trash, they are traitors. And the punishment for treachery, he said as life left the Raikage's eyes, is death. Leaving the body behind him, Kakashi moved to help Zabuza, who was trying to cut the undead Tsunade in half, while getting long-range cover from both Sasori and Haku and help from a giant toad. Promising himself to investigate later, the Jonin watched, mesmerized, as Tsunade headbutted the amphibian into submission, making him pop in a cloud of smoke, before savagely attempting to punch the mist swordsman. Since most of his following actions resorted to trying to stay alive by not letting the angry Kunoichi get her hands on you, the Hitaki decided to help. By making the Susanoo grab her head from behind, and then slam it on the ground, more or less knocking her out by crushing the brain, which was already reforming. Sasori immediately rushed to seal her in some kind of scroll, appraising Kakashi with a nod. I never doubted you would master this technique, but it is impressive to see it in action. What the hell is that jutsu? Zabuza grumbled. It's too cool to be yours. Well, Kakashi shrugged his shoulders, imitated by his Susanoo. What can I say? It is mine. No, really, didn't guess that on my own, the mist swordsman deadpanned. Silly Ka. The ceiling suddenly exploded, and a projectile clad in blue fire crashed near them, much to Zabuza's obvious displeasure. What, again? Kakashi's Sharingan had no problem identifying the object, or rather corpse. The Sandaime Hokage was burned very badly, but was quickly regenerating. Once again reacting fast, Sasori sealed him too before the old man could regain his mobility. Took me long enough to bring him down, a familiar female voice said, as a figure leapt a few meters away from them. He wouldn't stay down, even after propelling him through the entire fortress. Yugito smiled, and then paled when she noticed another body. Raikage-sama. Fully knowing things would degenerate into another fight, Kakashi mentally prepared himself, even as Sasori attempted diplomacy. Yugito-san, there is no need to. You broke our deal. She spat angrily. Only the snake was supposed to die. He left us no other choice. Sasori trailed off. Now Kumo can be in P. A powerful kick connected with his artificial head, cracking it, and making him fly through the air. Kakashi wasted no time and ordered the Susanoo to punch the Kumo Kunoichi, who gracefully avoided by taking a few steps backwards while making hand seals. She pointed the index and the middle finger of her right hand toward the Jonin, unleashing a powerful blue fireball that exploded upon contact, knocking the gray-haired man off his feet thanks to the shock. Yugito-san, please calm down. Haku shouted, while preparing Senbon. This is useless. Haku-san, unfortunately your companions betrayed my trust and the trust of B-sama by killing his brother, the Kunoichi replied with a calm, cold voice. As such, they have insulted me, my teacher and the whole land of lightning, and this affront must be washed away with the blood of the culprits. Justice my ass. Zabuza roared, using a water jutsu to create a huge dragon of water that rushed at the demon vessel. You will have to get past me. No problem, Yugito shot back, punching the air and projecting a blast of fire toward the water dragon, vaporizing him. She then wavered her fingers, creating an electric arc. Pointing her index at Zabuza, she released a lightning bolt in his direction. Putting the Susanoo's hand in the way, Kakashi prevented it from reaching the swordsman. Please, excuse me Yugito-san, Haku whispered as she threw her Senbon at the other Kunoichi before projecting shards of ice at her. With a swing of her arm, Yugito created a shield of blue flames that protected her from the projectiles. A second later, she jumped on the side, avoiding a stream of high-pressurized water sent by a now-standing Sasori. Let's finish this quickly, Yugito stated as she joined her hands, blue fire and chakra encircling her body. Biju transformation. A tornado of blue fire surrounded her, before revealing her new shape, a 15-feet-tall cat made of blue flames, with yellow eyes shining with a predatory light. She opened her mouth, and shot another massive blue fireball. Indeed, Kakashi said to Sasori, no plan survives its contact with the enemy and the ally. Just shut up, Zabuza growled. The girl, Naruto. She knew that Gaara's transformation had made her stronger. Naruto wasn't stupid. Being possessed by an evil sand demon could only end with some kind of power boost, despite now looking like a huge and ugly female tanuki. Unfortunately, Naruto hadn't guessed just how important the power-up was, but she got a pretty good estimation of it once she was thrown like a rag doll against a wall. Her view blurring, she managed to dodge the tanuki's claws, which drilled into the rock as if it was butter. She tried to form a Rasengan, but the creature's tail smashed her left side, throwing her to the other side of the room. As she rose up, the blonde's eyes widened as she saw the Shukaku deeply inhaling. Her reflexes taking her body over, the girl jumped to avoid being hit by a powerful blast of wind. No sooner than she regained her momentum than the creature had began to run toward her at a speed on par with her own. How can something this big move so fast? She wondered, almost getting beheaded by a swoop of the monster's arm. That's the Ikibi, the Kyuubi replied. And he's not even at full power. Really reassuring, Naruto deadpanned. She jumped on the creature's back and stabbed it with an explosive kunai, but receiving a good hit from the tail as a result, one that threw her to the ground. Fortunately, a good old explosion prevented the Shukaku from finished her off, dust obscuring its view. Putting as much distance as she could between herself and her enemy, the girl observed the creature, which was standing still. When the dust settled, she was looking at a statue of sand. Crap, the blonde thought as she noticed the shadow above herself. Taking a step back and preparing a Rasengan, Naruto managed to both avoid being squished by the falling tanuki while also blowing up its tail with her sphere. Before the creature could counterattack, she placed an explosive tag on the damaged ass and fled. Half of the beast's body was vaporized, leaving nothing but a shapeless mass of sand standing. A burst of foul chakra made the blonde blink, as she saw a yellow aura expelled from the Biju's body. It then turned into more sand, which grew and grew, taking the form of an even bigger Shukaku, whose body was simply too big to fit in the room. The walls broke, and the floor followed. As a huge paw attempted to squish her, Naruto leapt through a small hole to who knew where. No sooner had she fallen into some kind of deep pit that the blonde heard the Aikibi's claws breaking through the rock in her pursuit. She thankfully managed to grab a wall, her feet connecting with it, and the young Kunoichi began to outrun falling debris. The pit was quite big, but in the end, it led to another room. Jumping, Naruto managed to gracefully land on some kind of metallic surface, while dodging rocks. She then observed her surroundings, looking for an escape. She was in some kind of metallic dome, as huge as a great hall. The walls were made of some kind of mix between blue stones and shining red ones. The ground was made of a yellow metal, with brightened white lines forming a circular design on it, as if it was an arena or something. On the center of it all, a small crimson crystal embedded in the ground. "What is it?" "I do not know," the Kyuubi replied, "but I sense a very important reserve of natural energy in this room." "Maybe." A scream of rage interrupted their thought, a massive cloud of sand escaping from the conduit above them and covering its opening, and just about the highest part of the dome. Out of it, two huge paws emerged, alongside a bestial, maddened head. "I will crush you like an insect," the monster whispered, "and then I will offer your blood to my baby as a gift." "Sorry, but you will have to find yourself another prey to hunt," Naruto shot back, using a water jutsu on the beast. The Biju's jaws widened, and a powerful blast of wind negated the attack, while almost hitting the blonde, who evaded it by running around the room. The paws separated themselves from the cloud, and flew in her direction. Dodging one, the girl slammed a Rasengan on its claws, making the whole thing explode into dust. And it almost immediately reformed. "Kyuubi, can you help me? It's your brother, sister, whatever. Technically, we aren't siblings like you humans, and genderless, but Shukaku is dependent on its host sleeping to manifest itself," the Biju said, before transfusing its chakra through Naruto's veins. "If you awake him, Shukaku will vanish." Naruto blinked, one red tail of energy appearing on her back. The head. At an incredible speed, she jumped on the dome's wall, and ran on it, toward the flying face. Countless arrows of sand, followed by two paws, attempted to kill her, but they all missed, Naruto's speed increasing as a second tail formed. At some point, Naruto gathered all her strength and propelled herself in the air with her legs toward the Shukaku. The creature opened its muzzle, but the blonde didn't try to change her course. Instead, she punched the beast's tongue, breaking through it, and then falling toward the ground. Fortunately, the red tails of chakra changed shape, and two crimson hands seized the Biju's jaws and used them to swing the blonde on the monster's forehead. Shukaku glared, and Naruto's Rasengan bore into one of its eyes, the red chakra empowering it, destroying the whole head. As it fell apart, Gaara's body flew out of it, the cloud of sand at her pursuit. The blonde demon vessel, however, descended faster, and kicked the redhead's sleeping face. The mad girl's eyes widened, but the sand then whirled around her, protecting Gaara like an inform armor. Her hand grabbed Naruto's ankle, and brought her closer, spikes of sand emerging to impale her. Forming another Rasengan, the blonde slammed it on them, dissipated them, before hitting the armor. The resultant explosion projected her toward the ground faster, making her crash onto the crystal underneath, cracking it slightly. Then, Naruto whirled on herself, before landing on the stunned Gaara, kicking and breaking her sand armor with the strength of a Kyuubi-enhanced kunoichi. The blow loudly broke Gaara's ribs, and shattered the crystal, making its shards fly in the air. Landing on her feet, Naruto observed her stunned enemy, who didn't move. The sand fell apart and flew on the ground, suddenly harmless. Naruto, 1. Gaara, 0. Carefully, the demon vessel approached her unconscious enemy, before touching her neck. There was still a pulse, but the Sand Master was obviously not going to get up soon. "Now, I have to go help Naruto-sensei." A powerful shockwave shook the room, almost making her fall. The lines on the floor's shine progressively increased, and the previously crimson-colored crystal turned white. What is happening? I just understood. What? She asked. This room is the tower's power source. It's where natural energy is harnessed and focused to make the structure fly. The crystal was probably the cornerstone of the system. Which means, the tower will cease to fly very soon, and crash down to the earth below, probably killing us all. Crap. Don't think, flee. I know, she thought. The blonde looked at the opening above her, and then at the stunned Gaara. What are you doing? The Kyuubi asked, as Naruto seized the Sand Master and lifted her on her shoulders. Don't tell me, she tried to kill you, and you're saving her. Yes, the demon vessel replied, as she ran up the walls. I can't let her die there. This is, the Kyuubi shrugged, its chakra leaving Naruto's body. Whatever, if she awakes and attacks you again however, expect no help. Once she managed to get out of the pit, and then walk out of the room she had begun to fight Gaara, Naruto ended up crossing path with another blonde. Shibaku? She asked, as the puppeteer turned around, supporting an unconscious Kitsune on his shoulders. Flat lady. He saluted her, while blatantly ignoring Naruto's glare. Samahata barked happily next to him. How are you? Fine, she replied, caressing Samahata, which purred. Nice fish. What happened? N is dead, Chibaku replied aloofly, slightly disturbing Naruto. It took a lot of explosives and medical expertise to bring him down, but I managed to defeat him. Fortunately, Kitsune had worn him down a bit. If he hadn't, N would have crushed me. You killed him? The girl asked, a bit shocked. Chibaku simply shrugged. It was either him or me. If I had lost, he would have probably murdered Kitsune and went on to fight you, or the others. It was necessary. I'm not sure, she said with a low, saddened tone. He seemed so conflicted. As tragic as his death is, he still chose it over life, the puppeteer shot back, walking toward the exit. What is done, and unfortunately, we can't rewrite the past, he stopped. Wait, who are you lifting? Naruto smiled. Would you believe me if I told you it's another demon vessel that tried to kill me 5 minutes ago? Yes, I'm kind of used to craziness and madness happening all around me, he stated, walking once again. I kind of developed a kind of immunity to them. Really? Yeah, it took 1 year of work under Sasori to gain it, he replied. Now, seriously, can you give me some kind of logical, sane reason for this, or is it just an act of emotional, noble kindness? Please tell me it's the first. No, sorry. Oh, and I also, kind of negated the system that makes this whole tower fly. Well, this sucks. Wait, did you just said we're all going to crash down on the earth like eggs in a basket? Yes, sorry to disappoint you, world, but you haven't broke my sanity yet, he stated calmly, as they reached the hall where they had split. Now, let's just see if we can gather the others and escape this grave in the making. The sight that welcomed them was of one giant big blue cat fighting a Kakashi clad in an armor of white chakra, looking disturbingly like a human samurai. I take back what I said, Chibaku declared, placing Kitsune on the floor. But what the hell did I do to you, oh great universe, to deserve this? The traveler, Kazama. Swords met chains of chakra, and two adversaries battled in a deadly dance of blows and moves. Getting sloppy, Orochimaru-kun? Kazama asked with a mocking voice as his chains hit the decaying man's skull, drawing black and rotting blood. Not so easy anymore, now that you are fighting someone that can counter your blows, without any support to even the field in your favor. I killed Sarutobi, the Sannin hissed as he tried to behead the blonde with his twin blades, failing. I killed the Yondaime Cage. I defeated Jiraiya, I killed my counterpart, and so many more. He snarled in anger. And I will butcher you and all your companions with my bare hands. Oh come on, are you so deluded that you believe your own lies? Kazama taunted his enemy, avoiding his swords. You didn't defeat the Sandaime, his age did. You attacked him with 2 resurrected Hokage, and yet he still beat them and crippled you. Were you so afraid of him that you had to cheat to give yourself the slightest chance of fighting him? Shut up, Orochimaru hissed, as his snakes attempted to bite the world wanderer, whose chains crushed them. As for Jiraiya, well, first thing, he held back, because he still believed in you. The Yondaime Cage, you backstabbed him. And let's not get started on Sasuke, he smirked. I can't believe you even thought of robbing Itachi of his body, while he was still your ally. He gave you a well-earned lesson, if I remember what Jiraiya told me. Shut up. The Sannin roared, as Kazama slowly pushed him back against a wall. You were so afraid that you fled from the Akatsuki with your tail between your legs. The teen claimed with a smirk. And since you still wanted the Sharingan, you went after the weakest Uchiha around, while still fearing his elder brother's shadow. Kazama laughed. You have never fought evenly, Orochimaru. You always stab people in the back, or you fight against ninja you're sure to win against. Shut up. The snake snarled, charging madly at his enemy in a futile attempt at impaling him. The attack missed once Kazama lowered his torso, but the counterattack didn't. While still leaning toward the ground, the teen formed a Rasengan and slammed it in his enemy's belly, and then pushed it through the rotting flesh with his chain's help. While Orochimaru screamed in pain, his body hit the wall behind. Then, Kazama's chains impaled his skull, torso, ankles and hands, coloring the stone black with rotten blood. The Kusanagi flew to help their master, but were caught midway and restrained by blue chakra. No more escaping, Orochimaru, the blonde stated, as he formed another Rasengan. Time to die. The snake raged, his body bleeding profusely, and spat something behind the teen. 1 second later, the World Wanderer jumped to the side, a huge tail smashing Orochimaru's corpse instead. As Kazama rose up, he observed the thing he was now facing. It was an abomination. Naruto-kun, the snake-shaped mass of white vipers hissed with the Sannin's voice. Its head looked like a skull covered with rotting gray flesh, full of worms and exuding a hellish, purple smoke. When will you understand that death will never come to claim me? The blonde glared. So this is your true form. You mutilated your own body for a shot at immortality. I prefer the term of improved, the creature whispered, drops of green venom escaping from its teeth. Just as I will improve yours, once I take it over. Sorry, I already had to share it with the Kyuubi once, and it sucked, Kazama said, preparing a jutsu. No way I'm going to let an undead snake in. Who told you I asked for your permission? Orochimaru chucked, as he attempted to swallow the blonde, who masterfully sunshined away, retaliating with a cold wave. The wind made the creature shudder, but the smaller snakes flowed out of the monstrosity to attack the World Wanderer. That's creepy, he muttered, his chains killing the reptiles left and right. Orochimaru's jaws opened wide, as he tried to eat the teen again. The chains switched targets, stopping the fangs, before winding around the abomination's skull, smashing it on the floor with violence. The tail almost squished the World Wanderer, but he deflected it with a Rasengan. But then, he noticed the two Kusanagi, who had begun floating in the air, shining. They were pointed at him, and, as expected, suddenly extended. While he saw them coming and dodged their attack, Orochimaru used the opportunity to flow out of his restraints, separating itself into 1,000 of white snakes which immediately reformed his body afterward. He copied the power of Katsuyu, Tsunade's summon, Kazama guessed, taking steps backward and putting as much distance between the huge abomination and himself as possible. Killing all these vipers is probably the only way to kill him permanently. Frowning, the blonde ordered his chains to kill individual reptiles, but Orochimaru simply chuckled. It won't work a second time. Holes opened all over his body, the chains going through them. Immediately afterward, the white vipers winded around the blue chakra and crawled on them toward the former demon vessel. Having no other choice, Kazama dissipated them, before using a heat wave to throw back the reptiles. They immediately returned to the main body, which was adopting a menacing pose. Since they haven't swarmed me yet, then I assume they must somehow stay united to survive, Kazama realized, before realization hit him. They still need to maintain Orochimaru's form, and move his bones, since they replace the flesh, he can't live without them. The blonde blinked. I must kill them all in one swoop. The flail. Naruto. Orochimaru hissed, slithering toward Kazama. The teen threw a kunai in the air, and used a kawarimi to switch place with it a second before the Sannin's fangs shredded his flesh apart. While still flying, the World Wanderer summoned his chains, and formed a Rasengan. The chains winded around it, maintaining the sphere's shape when Kazama released the pressure. Orochimaru, you have lost. The second his feet connected with the ground, the blonde was already infusing wind chakra into the sphere, making it look green. He turned around, facing a roaring giant snake. The chains twirled in the air, and the sphere smashed on Orochimaru's skull faster than the eye could follow. The resultant shock threw Kazama into the opposite wall, a miniature tornado demolishing the room and fracturing the rock. The wind cut the shrieking snakes, reducing them to dust before the world wanderer's astonished eyes. The Sanin's skull shattered, unleashing a huge cloud of purple mist that was immediately dispersed by the miniature storm. When the wind settled, nothing was left of Orochimaru anymore. "I think I will call it the storm flail," Kazama declared as he rose on his legs. "And the next time I use it, it will be somewhere else than enclosed Spock," he screamed, as something bit his ankle. Kicking the thing responsible, Kazama eyed his wound with anger. His skin was turning purple, and the marks were. His eyes shifted to the snake responsible. "You are mine," the little black and rotting viper with Orochimaru's head whispered, as it grinned. "Your body is mine." The following second, Kazama was walking on a plane of purple, shifting flesh, under a dark sky. His body was cold, and he could move only his eyes, using them to look at the figures that were encircling him. Mass of fleshes, with a sleeping human face. Women, men, all seemed at peace, their soul forever imprisoned in what Kazama knew was Orochimaru's mind. The snake emerged from the flesh, his face nothing more than a rotting skull. "This is the end, Naruto-kun," he whispered, as the purple mass began to spread over the blonde's body. "In this mental plane, I am all-powerful, I will envelop your soul and take you over as my new vessel." Kazama tried to struggle, to free himself, but the flesh continued to cover him unhindered. As his face began to vanish, he heard Orochimaru laughing. His eyes closed. "Naruto-sensei, why are you abandoning us?" And suddenly snapped open. "Guys, I don't want to deal with flat ladies crying, so just hurry up and kick this bastard's ass already. While the chance of you surviving is next to zero, I would like you to prove the statistic wrong, Kazama-san. Please, Kazama-san, please stay alive." The flesh ceased to spread, much to Orochimaru's shock. "What? Kazama, your determination inspired me to grow out of my problems. Now, it's your turn to show the world that you will never break. Brat, if you die there, I will never forgive you. Kazama-san, Naruto-chan would be so sad if you were to die, so please survive." Then, the flesh began to recede. How can it be? Orochimaru wondered, staying immobile as Kazama was completely free. "It shouldn't be, it can't be. I don't think you understand what such a situation means," the blonde stated, his lips finally moving by sheer force of will. "It means that, for all intents and purposes, I have surpassed you, both physically and mentally. Not alone, sure. I did have help, support, and above all, people's trust. Things you cast away in your pathetic, futile quest of unlimited power and knowledge. Ultimately, Orochimaru, what you lacked, was simply something to love for, other than living for the sake of living. You lacked a true vision for the future. And the willpower to back it up. True power is something that belongs to me. You have power, yes, but you didn't have the guts to use it properly. You were afraid of facing down the hidden villages, afraid of Akatsuki, afraid of everything." The world wanderer smirked. "You wanted power, but you didn't know how to use it." The Sannin was left speechless, his last gambit ruined by one world wanderer. He didn't even move as Death walked toward him, casually clenching his right fist. Maybe it was because, deep down, you were just a desperate individual, afraid of death and yet aware nothing you could do would save you. Maybe it is because you actually hated the world for not complying to your wishes. Or maybe simply because you were just a child that never grew up, toying with people's live and snapping when things don't turn the way you want. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. He now a few meters away from the gasping, soon-to-be dead snake. "In the end it doesn't matter," Kazama stated, gritting his teeth. "The old man doesn't matter. I can't care less about your invasion, Sasuke, Peace, Sakura, Yamato and Sai." He glared at the snake. "What matters is that you dared to threaten my family." He lifted this arm. "So yeah, you're dying for the last time." And then, with all his might, he punched Orochimaru in the face. Time slowed down, as the Sannin's body was thrown backward, like a bag of rotten meat. A huge, dark hole opened in the middle of the plane of flesh, quickly devouring it. Yet, Kazama felt no fear, only a strange feeling of emptiness and otherworldly calm, coldness and serenity. On the other hand, the snake Sannin was obviously despaired, trying very hard to escape the inevitable. "This is useless," Kazama smiled, cold emptiness taking over his heart. "I am simply too strong for you to overcome. Accept the inevitable. I will never die. Orochimaru roared as he thrashed feebly to move. Quite the contrary, Kazama replied. I think they will make sure you do. Dozens of hands seized the Sanin's body from behind, and lifted him above the ground, a dozen of figures glaring at the snake and cursing his name. The souls Orochimaru had kept suppressed had awakened and they were not happy. Say farewell, Orochimaru, and this time, mean it. The Sanin screamed as he fell into the void with his victims, never to threaten anyone again. The hole grew, consuming the whole mental plane, until nothing but Kazama remained. When the blonde's eyes snapped open once again, they saw only a broken room in a flying fortress. The world wanderer was alone. Not that he was going to protest. Absent-mindedly, Kazama noticed the two Kusanagi, lying on the ground. Suddenly, they began to shine and fly in the air, and the teen prepared to defend himself. But instead of being pointed at him, the blades were flying vertically, slowly, and absolutely not menacingly. They stopped right in front of him, and waited. Carefully, Kazama seized their pommel. The swords didn't resist when he began to waver them, didn't try to stab him, and simply stopped to shine. In fact, the blade he had a hard time to use seemed easier to manipulate, as if. So I guess Orochimaru is indeed dead for good, and that you both switched allegiance to me, isn't that right? The blonde asked, already knowing the answer. So, I am your new master now. The blade briefly shinned once again. You know what, I think I will keep you both, he declared, despite all the demonic weapons. Deal. The cat, Yugito. In one swing, Yugito's paw lacerated the white samurai's face, slightly damaging it. The armor of chakra counterattacked by attempting to punch her muzzle, but she easily dodged the fist. Gathering all her might, the human-turned Biju kicked Kakashi, making the chakra construct crack and the man inside fly. Touché, kitten. The Nibi acclaimed. His chakra can't match our own. Yes, Yugito thought, as she swiftly sidestepped, a rain of explosive kunai sent by Sasori's twin puppets barely managing to phase her. Ignoring the following shocks, the kunoichi retaliated with a blast of blue fire, stopped by a wall of ice. Almost immediately afterward, mist covered the room. With a swing of her tail, the demon vessel swept it away. And an angry swordsman rammed his blade into her skull. Of course, Yugito felt next to nothing and threw the man away with her paw, putting him on fire, but damn, no one else had tried that previously, not once. Probably because it takes some guts to engage a Biju in close combat, the Nibi pointed out. And maybe suicidal tendencies. Probably, Yugito thought, as she observed her enemies. Zabuza had extinguished the flames on his body with a water technique, Haku had rushed to his side, and Sasori was standing still, waiting for an opening. Kakashi had risen up, glaring at her defiantly even as his chakra armor vanished, the man's Sharingan bleeding like a fountain. And yet, he gave her a familiar hand gesture. Bring it on. Not going to say no, Yugito prepared herself to charge, only to receive a few explosive kunai in her face from unknown assailants. Tilting her head to observe them, the kunoichi gasped in surprise. Naruto. Yugito-chan. The blonde girl asked with a shocked voice. Is that you? The blonde lady. The other kid Naruto, Chibaku, she thought his name was, wondered out loud. Oh no, she was a demon cat in disguise all along. I am not a cat. I only have the appearance of one, so why everyone keeps saying that? Then why do you call me kitten? It has nothing to do with it. It is a mark of affection. Please, stay out of this, Yugito whispered to the kids, before smelling something familiar. En's blood. She eyed Chibaku. You killed En. He almost killed Kitsune, and he just about refused to stay down, the boy replied. He kind of forced my hand. This is, she growled. Wait, please stop fighting. Naruto interrupted her. The vault is going to crash down very soon. As if to confirm her claims, the room shook, as if it was caused by some kind of earthquake. She's right, kitten, the Nibi whispered to her mind. I feel this tower struggling to maintain its flight. The engine might have been damaged, or worse, destroyed. And nobody know how it works, let alone repair it, the kunoichi inwardly grumbled. You think we can survive? No, not even in this form, unless you can fly back to Earth on your own, without En's help. And since he is kind of dead. Yugito blinked. This is bad, very bad, it appears you were right. You damaged the engine. Naruto bit her lower lip. It was an accident. I was fighting Gaara, and... Gaara? Yugito asked. noticing the unconscious redhead next to the little girl and the crazy demon inside her. She escaped. You defeated her. Impressive. To beat such a powerful Jinchuriki at her age is not an easy feat. She has a lot of untapped potential, doesn't she, kitten? Indeed. Why did you keep her alive? She asked, as the tower shook once again. She is insane and dangerous. Naruto glared defiantly. She is possessed by her Biju, like Kitsune. She is not in full control of her own actions, and I'm sure I can help her. Then you are a bigger optimist than I am, Yugito whispered. She knew about Gaara's story, and if she pitied her, the Kunoichi had realized long ago that the danger she presented was too great. But who am I to criticize your choice? Just, be careful with her. Naruto nodded calmly. Thank for your trust, Yugito-chan. The human Biju nodded, but then glared at Kakashi. You, however, you don't have to fight. Naruto interrupted her. He broke a deal and killed my superior, the Kunoichi replied, while the Hatake frowned. I could smell his blood on your chakra armor. I can leave your companions alone, but you are not going to escape this place alive. Whenever you want, he responded, forming a ball of lightning within his fingers. Justice will design who is right and who isn't. I hate to interrupt this moment of rivalry or whatever, Chibaku said, but am I the only one concerned about the fact we're all going to die horribly within the next 10 minutes? No, Zabuza grumbled, before looking at the pot of Kumogakure. Can't we use this thing to teleport away? The travel only works in one way, Sasori replied, while frowning. And I don't have enough chakra left to make my flying puppets transport us to safety. I didn't expect to face an undead Sannin. However, there is still the gliding option. Transforming our clones into gliders won't work, Chibaku stated, guessing the plot. Kitsune is unconscious, and this redhead too. And you seem too harmed to fly properly. You underestimate me, the puppet master replied. We can have clones take our wounded members. Kumo has an anti-aerial defense, Yugito stated. Since it's not N that transport us, they will kill us on sight. We need to find Kazama-san, Haku concluded, as Sasori frowned in defeat. Maybe if Naruto uses her shadow clones. Yugito's vision noticed a familiar soul, and she chuckled. Do not bother, when you speak of the devil, he always shows up. Walking out of a corridor and into the hall, the world wanderer appeared, holding two blades in his hands. Everyone eyed him, and he looked back. So you are all there, well, hello, he said, before noticing the giant cat in front of him, and blinking. What the? It's Yugi-chan. Naruto shouted. Yes, this is the form of the Nibi, which I can assume at will, the Kunoichi replied. More importantly, can you make us escape before the vault's destruction? So this tower is indeed going down, figured that out, with all the earthquakes, he said. I can only teleport us in another world, however. He stared at Kakashi. What the hell is happening? This is a matter of honor, the Jonin explained. This is a matter of foolishness, Sasori countered, looking at Yugito. Miss Yugito, we are all in the same boat and it is sinking. You can always solve your feud later, once we are all safe. He locked eyes with her. Let's make a truce. He has a point, you know. Better delay the man's punishment than dying, kitten. I cannot trust you, Yugito replied, ignoring her Biju's advice. What will stop from backstabbing me? My debt to you, Kazama stated. I owe you my life. Without you, Orochimaru would have killed me. I swear I will bring you to safety and that we won't betray you. This is stupid, Zabuza stated, balancing his sword menacingly at the Biju. She attacked us. I don't know why we should help her. I can kill you whenever I want, she suggested, the swordsman answering by a glare. I owe her my life, Kazama stated, attracting Zabuza's incredulous gaze. Without her, Orochimaru would have killed me. So yes, she's going to follow us. The swordsman seemed about to reply something, but Haku put a hand on his shoulder and locked eyes with him. The missing nin frowned, and then shrugged. Alright, he said, next staring at Yugito. Makes no mistake. One wrong move and I'll kill you. I would like to see you try, the Kunoichi shot back, unimpressed, and she next looked at Kakashi. And you? What is your point of view? I will kill you once we have escaped. He stayed silent, and briefly looked at Kazama. I trust my leader's decision, he declared. And I shall respect it. I promise I will fight you honorably, whenever you want, and I shall not try to attack you beforehand. I promise too, Naruto said. We won't be treacherous, Yugito-chan. The kunoichi blinked, before slowly retaking her original form. Alright, I guess I have no choice. She eyed Kakashi. Our duel is only postponed. I know, he replied with a grunt. I expected no more. Then it is settled, Sasori declared, ignoring the bicker. The question is, where are we going? I will try to teleport us near a settlement, Kazama stated, away from any hidden village, just in case. Prepare yourself. Do we take this pot? Chibaku pointed out, looking at the huge object. Sasori simply shook his head. Too hard to transport, impossible to seal, not worth the hassle. Gee Gaara, Kazama whispered, as he recognized the unconscious redhead. Naruto frowned. You know her, Naruto-sensei. I fought him once, well, a male version of her, he whispered. What happened? She attacked you. Yeah, she said, before smiling. But I defeated her. Kazama blinked. This is impressive. He smirked. I'm very proud of you. Thank you, she said, reddening a bit, but suddenly adopted a serious expression. Please, can we take her with us? She isn't bad, I think, simply confused by her demon. I know, I dealt with such a situation years ago, he replied. If she's anything like the Gaara I knew, then she can become a good person if she makes friends. His grin widened. Like you. Naruto smiled sheepishly, and Yugito observed the scene from afar. You know, kitten, this guy isn't that bad, the Nibi whispered. He's very much like N, except without the suicidal tendencies and the, my country right or wrong, attitude. Yes, she agreed silently. Nibi, do you think we will be able to see Kumo again? Our Kumo, I mean. The Biju stayed silent a moment. There is always a chance, but I seriously doubt it. This Kazama doesn't seem really competent with his ability, sorry. For what? Telling the truth. She wondered. For not being able to help you. Nibi, thank you. Will he make it? Kazama asked, looking at Kitsune. His life is not in danger, I assure you, Chibaku answered. However, I have no idea for how long he will stay like that. Maybe a few days, maybe more. I have no idea what N did to him, but it appears to have made his chakra rather unstable. If only I could question the dead to know what really happened. Yugito frowned. N. So N is dead? Kazama asked with a frown. The Raikage too. You seem a little sad, Chibaku pointed out. Why? I'm not really sad about A, but N, somehow, I can't help but empathize with him, the blonde teen replied. If circumstances have been different, we might have become like him. Trying to defend our family and our friends, against everything, are we really so different than him? No, but what is done, Kakashi declared. Many deaths are tragic, but most of them result from choices. N could have avoided it all, and yet he preferred to fight. Same thing with all these guards in A. They made decisions, and we have to accept them. Unfortunately, he said, locking eyes with the blonde, you taught us we can't rewrite the past. Kazama stayed silent, and then nodded. Too true. Anyway, Yugito interrupted them. If your blades are of any indication, you managed to kill the warden. I annihilated him, the teen replied evenly. It took a while, but he's gone forever. The kunoichi nodded. Some good news at least. She smirked. I hope you will do as well during our rematch, after I kill Kakashi of course. Don't worry, the teen grinned a bit. You will never get past Kakashi. We shall see. Hey wait, Chibaku stared at her. And me, I kind of killed your fellow Jinchuriki. You were not bound to spare him, as were your allies, she replied. And you were fighting to protect your friend. This was just business. The kunoichi glared. I won't seek revenge on you, but this doesn't mean I will forgive you. He sulked, massaging his temples. Well, I guess I should be happy not to have to fight a giant cat. Yugito blinked. Just a few seconds. She turned around, toward the opening she had made after throwing the undead Hokage through the walls. Since she could see the sky, the kunoichi joined her palms, and shot a little fireball through the hole. When it reached the clouds, the ball exploded into a beautiful, blue firework. Now, you know I am still alive, B-sama, Mab. And that your plan worked somewhat. I am ready, she stated. Another earthquake shook the room, and Kazama turned to face the rest of the group. Is everyone ready? Since they all nodded, the blonde slammed his palms. Then let's go. In a flash of light, everything vanished. The deceiver, Madara. Below them, the vault looked like a crushed egg, a broken, shapeless mass. Rocks were burning, literally, unleashing huge masses of smoke into the air. From above the clouds, Tsukiyomi found the sight of Kumo Nins trying to extinguish the raging and spreading inferno quite entertaining, his counterparts and two animated corpses enjoying the spectacle at his sides. The breach Kazama had created now looked like a black sphere, its power hijacked by a dark deity. You are now on your own, Mikabashi's mechanical voice said through the breach. I will return the pathway to the world where you pray fled back to normal, but Izanagi's decree prevents me from doing more. Your quests do not concern me anymore, at least for now. That is all. Susanoo wondered, his power over gravity allowing them to fly. Norder. No directive. What are you talking about? Tsukiyomi rasped. Since when are we its subordinates? They should never show submission or insecurity, not in front of anybody. Not even their divine backer. While the Dark Force watched the events in silence, Amaterasu and Susanoo stared at him, the first with support, the second with incomprehension. It did save us from certain death, in case you do not remember, the man with the Rinnegan pointed out. Gratitude doesn't equal to servitude, Amaterasu pointed out. He stared at the breach. Make no mistake, August Star, we will repay your help, but we are not your pawns. Not now, not ever. You are not pawns, no, the entity whispered. If you were pieces, you would be the highest rank possible below the king, but you are completely different entities. You are the heralds of the future, and you have always been. You will bring mankind closer to eternity, but this is not the only reason I saved you. Gratitude also played a part in my intervention. Tsukiyomi blinked. Gratitude? He asked. It is the way debts are paid, the deity replied, taking the question literally. You, chosen, gave me an opportunity to erase Izanagi's decree, and you deserved a reward for it. A continued existence for you and your echoes appeared to be the best one I could offer you. When the time will come, you will receive far more. Do you mean we are no longer indebted to you? Tsukiyomi asked, doubtful. Lying to you is pointless, Uchiha Madara, and beneath both of us. And you were never indebted, the Dark Force replied with honesty. I gave you your powers so you could realize your personal visions, which all fit me perfectly, despite their differences. They are yours, and yours alone. No matter what you do, you will still serve my purpose. If we were to kill Naruto Uzumaki, Amaterasu muttered, attracting the surprised gaze of Susanoo and receiving a glare from Tsukiyomi, will you care? Such an action would be a major step back for what I plan to accomplish, as there will probably be no more opportunity to turn someone like him to my side, Mikabashi whispered, but doing so will prove to be fatal to the responsible. I do not see what you could hope to gain. A good rush and the thrill of a battle, Amaterasu shot back. Pointless. Since you do consider this chain of actions in a dark corner of your conflicted mind, let me give you an advice. You can obtain far more by sparing him, the Dark Force replied. Are you unable to see what his power can do? With him, the world of eternal warfare you seek, Madara Uchiha, will be within your grasp. All it will take is a few words at the right time. This chance to realize your dream, Uzumaki Naruto will gladly give it to you in time, once he accepts his planned role. It stayed silent. Do you know what is the most basic rule of the game you humans call shogi? It was purely rhetorical. Protect the king, Tsukiyomi said, understanding where the deity was going. Yes, it said. You know who is the king, even if he doesn't know it himself. It is only through him that the game can be won, and I know you will act accordingly. Amaterasu shrugged. Ah, yes, I forgot you could see the future. I do not predict the future, Uchiha Madara, Mikabashi replied. I write it. The breach began to shift, retaking its original, shapeless form. We will meet again, sons of men, once the game will be won, and the time to seize the prize is in sight. As the three Madara found themselves alone, Tsukiyomi glared at Amaterasu. A good rush, right? He asked. This is not surprising, coming from you, and yet, were you fishing for information? Yes, the warrior confirmed. I have no idea of what it is planning to do, but this is big and our prey has a vital role in it. Yes, Susanoo agreed. I wonder what fate keeps in reserve for us. Fate is nothing more than a possibility, Tsukiyomi stated. This entire multiverse is the proof that fate isn't set in stone. Susanoo chuckled. I thought Izuna's visions would have opened your eyes on the existence of destiny. I chose to realize Izuna's dreams, he pointed out. And he predicted a very different turn of events than this one. I really doubt Mikabashi is completely omniscient, or else it would have conquered the multiverse long ago. Mikabashi predicted a chain of actions that he showed to Izuna, Susanoo replied. It doesn't mean it wasn't itself fated to act like that. If all things are predetermined, then maybe Mikabashi's acts were too. The future is already written, but we do not know the language and we can misinterpret the scriptures. Tsukiyomi prepared to demolish his counterpart's point of view, but Amaterasu put his hands on both their shoulders. I hate to interrupt such debate, but we still have a blonde to track down and capture. The others stayed still, before both nodded. They will never expect us to catch up with them so soon, Susanoo declared. We shall grace them with fire and steel.